Religious people might not want to see this. This is called the Cyrus cylinder, and it's in the British Museum. And what it does is it talks about Cyrus, who was also mentioned in the Bible. Now, unfortunately, it was mentioned by Isaiah. Now, the cylinder seal refers to Marduk helping various people in Babylon. Now, Marduk was a god. So this is why religious people probably don't want to hear this, because it talks about Marduk, who was there with his little dog-type creature. We've got many carvings of him with this animal. And Marduk was an Anunnaki alien, which we've got thousands of references to, probably hundreds of thousands of references to, being one of the main gods approximately 3000 BC. Before that, it was Enlil. So there's your god. Did you know the alien gods in the Bible were called Anunnaki? However, their race name was gods. I can show this with evidence. Did you know that Doug and Dave, who say that they created the crop circles, lied? They created some, but not all, because here 400 years ago we've got evidence that crop circles were done before Doug and Dave were even born. Did you know that we can see only 5 planets with the naked eye, but yet Greek gods knew more? And the reason why the Greek gods knew more is because, for example, Enki who was one of the Anunnaki, was Poseidon and Neptune, and also old Odin. Did you know that the crop circles, the genuine ones, have the nodes actually burst with a microwave heat, and it also produces about 400% more yield than the fake crop circles? Did you know you can find all of this out from my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk, and all you have to do is just type in what you want to see to do with anything at the top. I have finished my documentary on the name of the creator of everything, based off of Anunnaki text. No one else has actually worked this out, so I'm hoping I'm right. To find the video, all you have to do is go to my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk, type in creator, and then scroll down to where it says Bible, and obviously it's not God. We know it's not God, so don't worry there. And then when you get so many videos here in my... and then once you get to the name of the creator of everything, you can just click on it or tap it if you're on the phone. Enjoy.
Some had African features, some had Caucasian features, some had Asian features.
That's not what my research shows. In fact, if you had any evidence whatsoever of them looking like Asian people or anything at all, you would have showed those images, those carvings, instead of AI images, artificial images. So where I do my research, I show on screen always the evidence that I'm pointing to. So if you had, and that's the only way you would know what they look like, is by the carvings. So why not actually show the carvings instead of AI images? Now, the Anunnaki did have lapis lazuli braided into their beards. They wore turbans sometimes. Doesn't make them look like black people. Doesn't make them look like Pakistani people. They just wore those. We've got the carvings of the Anunnaki. They all kind of look the same. So there's no difference, like you're saying there is. Otherwise, you would have showed the evidence, which there isn't any. Sorry. That is your God, 8 to 12 foot tall Anunnaki who created us humans. We've got the evidence of that. We know that now. So if you're interested in a crash course on the Anunnaki to find out all about them, what they actually ate, what pets they had, why they had slavery, what they're allowed to do, the list just goes on. So all you have to do is just click my profile picture, and the videos preceding this one, there's 4 of them. Watch them. It's roughly 10 minutes each. Enjoy. However, if you did want to watch them all in one go on YouTube, all you have to do is go to my YouTube channel, Our True History, and as you see, I've only just put it up recently, and it's already got great reviews already. So just enjoy that and learn about your God. I know it sounds funny, but let's be honest, we have the tablets, we have the fused chromosomes, we have everything that they said. They're our gods. Always be the smartest in the room. So this person is referring to Zecharia Sitchin, who has wrote books about the Anunnaki, those that came from heaven to earth, those that created the Homo sapiens. Now this person says here he's read them all and Sitchin is a liar. Those that know me know that I've done my research, and obviously Sitchin was correct. So I asked this person, would you like to see the evidence that Sitchin was correct? Bearing in mind this person said he's read everything to do with Sitchin. He wrote back saying no. So this means this person knows that Sitchin wasn't a liar, otherwise he would have looked at the evidence that I would have presented and then found evidence to prove my evidence wrong, because that's what I, trust me, that's what I would do. I will go to the end of the earth. If someone's wrong, I will take them down. But this person's obviously not bothered doing that and just said no. Literally, they just wrote no on another post. So, unfortunately, Sitchin is correct, and I win as always. We don't have our own soul. Have a listen to this and I'll explain in a sec.
Now, imagine going to sleep and then waking up with a completely different accent. Well, that's exactly what happened to our next guest.
Yeah, so 26-year-old Verity went. What a strange thing to happen.
I know.
I mean, I've read a lot about this before.
To be quite a people pleaser, you know, I'd get upset a lot over a lot of things, whereas now I just do everything for myself. I'm very like...
So basically, this lady had migraines for a very, very long time. One night she had it so bad that when she woke up next morning, she could speak in a different accent and couldn't get her normal accent back. And the reason for that is because the orb that joins with us while we're 3 to 4 months in the mother's womb, when the pineal gland forms, that's when the entity joins with us. That's what we call the soul, the spirit. That leaves. Sometimes they leave and then a different orb joins. And when that happens, you can get different skills and stuff. Alien horses, you ain't going to believe this. So archaeologists have traced the origin of the horse and why humans ride them roughly around 4,000 years ago. It says here, and this article was just 1 day ago, it says humans changed the horse genome stunningly quickly. It's nothing to do with humans changing it 4,000 years ago. We're not that good. It's to do with this horse here, which had the sloped back and then became domesticated. So guess where this come from? Mars. You're going to say, what? Yep, I already did a video last year, over a year ago, explaining it come from Mars with the texts from the Anunnaki where they're talking about bringing these creatures down from Mars. They call it Lachmu, Mars. And if you're interested in finding this out, just write Life on Mars. You can go type it in on my website, outruehistory.co.uk. Just type Mars or Life on Mars and you'll... Hi guys, I'm just doing the video on Kronos and who he was as an Anunnaki. Little did I realise that doing these kind of research, I've now worked out who Uranus was. It wasn't a planet, it was the sun. And Gaia wasn't a male planet, it was Tiamat. So I'll be showing all the evidence. It's all there. It's just amazing how these things fit together. Just like I did with my Norse documentary on the Norse gods, where I worked out who they were in the Anunnaki time. So it's going to be an amazing documentary again. This one's mainly focusing on Kronos, obviously now the creation side of it, but I will do a deep dive into the Greek gods to prove who belongs to who as an Anunnaki. So keep watching. Looking forward to this one coming out. Be out this coming weekend. Religious people. Lucifer is Satan. Aliens are his companions. They are evil. So this person here, I've asked, would they like to see the evidence who Jesus' real father was, who Yahweh was, that the Anunnaki were the gods in the Bible? Of course, as usual, they all say no. Anyway, this person just keeps coming back with the same rhetoric about Jesus, etc. But I thought I'd ask the question. Aliens are his companions, they are evil. Could you give me one, just one, piece of... You don't even have to give me evidence. Just give me one reason why aliens are evil. Did they wipe us out? No, we're still here. Did they steal technology from us? No, we're still learning technology. Did they... Well, I don't know. You tell me. You tell me why they are evil. When you realise you can't, just... I give up. I give up.
The world's foremost expert researcher has done it again. The Greek god Kronos was an Anunnaki god, but he wasn't what we have been told. He wasn't the father of Zeus. Once again, our true history is rewriting the history books, with evidence. You can see his other amazing research where he has solved many mysteries that we thought would never be solved. He's shown with evidence who Yahweh really was, solved why Stonehenge is exactly where it is. Was the only person to find Atlantis and prove it. Proved that the Anunnaki were the gods in the Bible. Shown with evidence who the Norse gods were as Anunnaki, and even solved what the frost giant was. There's so much more you can learn from our true history. Simply visit ourtruehistory.co.uk. The Kronos evidence will be released on Saturday, 8th of June 2024.
This person has asked, is Earth hell? No, there was no hell, and no clairvoyant, medium or spiritualist, any good one, will tell you there's a hell. They'll only tell you there's higher and lower frequencies in the afterlife. But regarding the biblical sort of sense of hell, there was a place that Ereshkigal and Nergal, they were in charge of the underworld. So if an Anunnaki or a demigod did something bad in life, then their statue that Nergal and Ereshkigal had over in South Africa, Abzu, the underworld, they would smash that up. If you did good, then they would put the statue out. That's where you get the judgment. So you can forget all the Jesus stuff and everything else. That's actually where it all comes from. And then you wrote, are we fallen angels? No. The Ajiji, which are the younger Anunnakis, I guess sort of teenagers maybe, that was the sons of God, which is what it says in the Bible anyway. So the Ajiji were the fallen angels, not us humans.
Much evidence, proof about what's being done.
Long story short, this person mentioned Tatarian Empire. I said there is no evidence that there was a Tatarian Empire that had advanced technology. Show me the evidence, that's what I asked for. He just did a video. So to the person that just done the video, I kind of still need the evidence. It's nice that you did a nice little 3-minute video, but when I asked for the evidence, I kind of meant I needed to see evidence, not nothing. Sorry, don't hate me. It's just everything I do goes by evidence. And of course, you've done a stitched video with my comment to make me look like you're finally giving the evidence. But in your video, there is no evidence. So I kind of still need the evidence. So until that happens, the only Tatarian Empire was the Mongolian one 500 years ago. So there's no evidence still. No one's given me any evidence for an advanced modern Tatarian race.
Sitchin was incorrect about basically everything he wrote about.
Person's just done a stitch with one of my comments where I said Zachariah Sitchin was correct, and this person seems to think that he knows more than me. And the reason why I know he doesn't is because if you scroll down on my website to where it says click here in big blue letters, you'll be taken to a video, and that video shows that Zachariah Sitchin actually copied older translations. He didn't translate it himself. So when this person's saying that Zachariah Sitchin's wrong, no, he actually used these translations. There's one here from, I think, 1921. And so I go through on this video proving that what Zachariah Sitchin said was already translated in other by other people from 200 years ago upwards. So to the person that done that video, watch this video and with evidence show me where my evidence is wrong. Did our gods, the Anunnaki, treat their women like the people in the Middle East? It's a fair question because I get asked that a lot, because the Anunnaki were in the Middle East, and obviously there's people now in the Middle East that have certain ways about them. Did the Anunnaki do that to their women? Well, actually, no. So I'm just going to show you here. Here is a statue of one of the Anunnaki. It's a representation of an Anunnaki. And the wings actually show that that's a god. You'll see that in various different cultures, that people have wings. And so this is a male with a beard, as you can probably tell. However, if you look here, there is a female version. This is in the British Museum. So basically, the Anunnaki treated their women the same as men, except the men had the power first, but they never abused or mistreated any of their women.
Sitchin was incorrect about basically everything he wrote about.
Person's just done a stitch with one of my comments where I said Zachariah Sitchin was correct, and this person seems to think that he knows more than me. And the reason why I know he doesn't is because if you scroll down on my website to where it says click here in big blue letters, you'll be taken to a video, and that video shows that Zachariah Sitchin actually copied older translations. He didn't translate it himself. So when this person's saying that Zachariah Sitchin's wrong, no, he actually used these translations. There's one here from, I think, 1921. And so I go through on this video proving that what Zachariah Sitchin said was already translated in other by other people from 200 years ago upwards. So to the person that done that video, watch this video and with evidence show me where my evidence is wrong. did you know the triangular UFO that most people see is the TR-3B, which is owned by American secret military? Did you know in the Bible, instead of it actually saying in the beginning God created Earth, it actually says in the proper Hebrew version, direct version, God's preparing heavens and earth. Did you know if you go and type in Ebens, you will see the NSA literally talking about aliens? Did you know that the mainstream have put back the dates of mummies by 1,000 years, which means they have no idea what they're talking about? Did you know there's a Moai statue that supposedly was left by the film crew for Rapu Nui? However, when you actually realise that that would have decomposed instead of this one that's still there, if you're interested in finding out why that's real and it changes everything, just go to my website, Our True History. All the answers for everything that I've just said is there. Zeus was an Anunnaki, Enlil, and here we have the description here of how Zeus tricked Hera into becoming his wife, and he basically turned into a cockatoo bird. Now here is some texts that predate all of that about Enlil, and it says, I am Enlil, but Enlil had changed his appearance. He had turned into a raven and was croaking. But the person that he was talking to at this point, this isn't Hera, this is someone else, but the point is, how many people do you know turn into birds? So if you're interested in finding out all of this and so much more, even who Cronus was, etc., with evidence, all you have to do is just go to my website. You'll see I've solved so many other things with evidence, as always. Just go to ourtruehistory.co.uk and search Zeus or Kronos or ancient Greek, whatever it is that you want to search for, and then you will get to so many videos, thousands of videos. So we have a religious person here that's telling me that the videos I do are wrong, even though he's not actually watched any of them, because he has complete faith in the Bible. And anything else, as you read here, he says it's made up. Now, I don't know if this person's aware that the actual Bible is a copy of older texts, and we have those older texts. And in those older texts, we have, for example, Enki telling Noah to build the boat. We have the 6 days of creation, Enki on the 7th day saying, let this day be a day of rest. We have the great flood story where Enlil says, let's let the flood allow that to happen, and Enki, who's our father who art in space, says, no, I want to save someone, I want to save my people. So we actually have the original text. So when you say everything's made up, then your Bible's made up because you copied the older Bible's a copy of older texts. That's a fact. Feel free to share this world first. You are going to see your father who art in space, what he actually looks like. Yes, you're going to see Enki, what he looks like as a Anunnaki, not as a stone carving or an image. We are going to see what he would have looked like in one moment. That is him there. And so the beard is, you'll see in a second, that's got lapis lazuli in it. Doesn't mean it's braided like a black person. It means the Anunnaki loved their lapis lazuli. Okay, so here is what our father looked like. That is Enki, based off of absolutely every single image I can find of him. Yes, he does have blue eyes, and yes, the lapis lazuli was that's braided inside his beard in those images. So if you're interested in finding out all the evidence that he was our father, just go to ourtruehistory.co.uk and you knock yourself out. You'll find thousands of videos there with evidence. So Anunnaki Origins has literally took my words and has put it on a video for themselves, which is really naughty because they avoid showing my website. Have a look.
Noah was also the direct child of Enki and a Homo sapien woman called Bonash.
They got my information.
That's why Enki wanted to save Noah.
That's exactly the words I've said.
Noah had blonde hair, blue eyes, and
exactly
pale
what
skin.
I say.
He was dark-skinned compared to Lamarck, who was Bynex's husband. You can see all this evidence in my documentary, The Great Flood.
Look.
Please see my video.
Hang on.
It's free to watch.
That's exactly what I say.
Look for a comprehensive overview
Our
of
True History.
Co.uk.
Instead of saying .co.uk, and there's the free documentary here on my Patreon page. It's free. It's on my Patreon page, but under the free section. So could people go to these guys and just say, all non-believers of God out there, listen to this. So this person's wrote, never did the Anunnaki make humans. Well, Actually, here in the ancient text that predates the Bible, my mother, the creature you planned, will really come into existence, impose on him carrying the work, carrying baskets for him. And then it goes on to say, genetically modifying a hominid species here on Earth, and after 6 times they finally got it right. So, so yes, and we've got the fused chromosomes that no other hominid has, which means God didn't do that. Now, interesting, when you ask what God looks like, you get, because you say, well, I don't look like a reptile. Now, the Anunnaki were not reptiles. I'll share that in a second. But you say God made us in his image. Now, here's all images of what people in the past thought God looked like. Okay, remember that white hair, white beard. Now, here is one of the Anunnakis that look like us, and this is what they would have looked like with skin. Yes, the Anunnakis created us. United States Space Force has already been going for a very, very long time, longer than they let you know. They also have craft that we know about that they don't really want us to know about. You may have even seen one of them, the Triangular TR-3B. So this new documentary deep dive is coming out this weekend, which is the 15th of June, 2024. However, you can look at many, many other documentaries that's already done if you can't wait till Saturday. Just go to ourtruehistory.co.uk, type in what you want, whether it's RH negative blood, whether it's Anunnaki, whether it's the Egyptians, the Norse, the Greeks, Emerald Tablets. I'm just going through some here. Lemurian, Mayan, mermaids, time travel, etc. All these long documentaries you can get to from my website. So if you can't wait till Saturday, go watch some of these other amazing documentaries that other people actually copy my work. So come to me first, I'm the guy. Why am I the foremost expert on the Anunnaki? It's a fair question. So first of all, we have to narrow it down to how many people actually look into the Anunnaki. There's not that many. Although there's about 9 billion people on Earth, there's only a handful that actually look into the Anunnaki. And out of those, there's only a very, very small percentage that actually look at everything as a whole, because you have to. You really do. Greek gods, Roman gods, Egyptian, Indian, etc. There's only narrows down to probably 1 or 2 people, including myself, that actually look at everything as a whole. And those people that look at everything as a whole copy me. And that's proven. So, for example, Anunnaki Origins on YouTube, they literally took the transcript of one of my documentaries and used it for one of theirs. In other words, they don't know what they're talking about. And on top of that, I have actually debunked, you can go watch the videos just on TikTok, scroll all the way down to the ones in yellow writing, you'll see, and it says, why follow me? And it shows me debunking historians, it shows me debunking other researchers, lecturers from museums, etc. And I do all of this with evidence, because I have been researching for 40 odd years, and I do everything with evidence. And so, unfortunately, I'm not saying that I debunk them because I want to or anything like that. I'm just saying that because I'm quite, I'm crap at loads of things, but one thing I'm good at is remembering and using my intellect to connect things that no one else has connected. On top of that, if you go to my website, you'll see a huge list of mysteries that's been solved. I've solved where Atlantis is, with evidence of a sunken city in concentric circles in the right place where it's supposed to be, with Thoth's temple, blah, blah, blah. I've also worked out why Stonehenge is exactly where it is, because it's in the middle of nowhere. I've worked out, just go look at my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk, and you'll see that no one has even come close to anything. Well, no one. So without sounding big-headed, someone's got to be the best at something, and it's not me being big-headed, just that one falls on my shoulders. You guys are probably better than me at a billion things. But on this, I am the foremost expert when I can debunk everyone else, prove things with evidence that no one else has ever worked out. I've worked out who the Norse gods were as Anunnakis. I've worked out what the frost giant was from the Norse stories. I've worked out who Kronos really was, and I actually rewrote history, because just watch my videos, you'll see what I'm on about. So yes, very big-headed, egotistical, but crap at loads of other things. So just, that's it really, I'm afraid. Sorry. Ancient Aliens, the TV show. The problem is no one seems to bother doing their own research except for me anymore. Have a listen to this and I'll explain why.
If you believe the work of the late Zecharia Sitchin,
where he believes that the Anunnaki came from a planet that is somewhere out in our solar system, and that they came here to mine for gold, but they figured they're not going to do the work themselves.
So he's saying that Zachariah Sitchin is the only one that came up with all this conclusion. However, if you actually look here at the ancient text, Enki's Journey to Nibiru, so Zachariah Sitchin spelt it with an extra I, and so did the Moorhens, who also did translations. Again, like I say, no one seems to do any bother doing any research these days, except for me. Anyway, they had a shrine here on Earth for Nibiru, as it's translated in other tablets, not necessarily with the extra I. So I've done a whole documentary on showing that Nibiru is actually Nibiru. Now, on top of that, I've also done a documentary. It's on YouTube. You can just go down and look for it. It's Our True History, Proof Anunnaki Were Here. So just type in that if you want to look. And this is based off of tablets before Zachariah Sitchin was even born. We're talking back in 1901, 1902. The actual books were published, and I've done a documentary showing all of the evidence that Zachariah Sitchin collated. Remember, Zachariah Sitchin did not say he translated any of this. So it was already done. Now, on top of that, where George Norrie was just saying that Zachariah Sitchin claims that they came here, created us to do the work for them, here's an actual translation here of Enki and Nimna, where it literally says they're going to get us to basically having carrying their baskets, etc. So, follow me in. I don't know. History Channel's good and Ancient Aliens is good, but if you actually want the evidence, I don't know. I know I sound big-headed. I just get very frustrated that no one else bothers doing the research and putting the effort in, and just keeps referring to Zachariah Sitchin when it wasn't him. He said it wasn't him. Anyway, there you go, guys. The universe has 11 dimensions, according to this person that's done zero research. So how does this person know that what the other dimension isn't just the other end of our universe? Does it have a sign saying you're actually in dimension number 4 now? Or does it say, welcome to the end of the universe, it looks like a different dimension? So I've asked for evidence, but I'll never get it, because obviously there is zero evidence that we have for that. However, this person also then said Anunnaki were multi-dimensional beings now. And then at the end of that comment, they wrote, go research. Now, they probably don't realise I am the foremost expert on Anunnaki. So I'll ask this person, please post on here, or do a video stitch, with the evidence that the Anunnaki were multidimensional beings. Now, we do have text saying that they come from a planet here in our solar system, but I want that evidence. You show me it now. Alien elongated skull. Hang on, listen to this, very important. You'll catch on. So, in the National Library of Medicine, it says from an article in 2013 that it says basically you can't get a missing sagittal suture that would create an elongated skull. That's what it says. And this is peer reviewed. It goes down and shows all the people, etc. That was 2013. However, same place, National Library of Medicine, in 2024, January, they've produced this article. So with a hand-drawn image of a baby with zero sagittal suture, because the alien ones do have, or well, I'm not going to say alien ones, the ones that's not human don't have a sagittal suture and also have an elongated skull. So this article here basically says, a baby can have an elongated skull if it's missing a sagittal suture, but it's not peer-reviewed. You can probably guess they've added this now to cover alien skull. We are de-evolving. So this gentleman here, I'll just play a bit of the video and you'll see what I'm on about. You know that Ragnarok actually already happened about 10,000 BC. I can show you.
My man, please do not come up with fake evidence. Okay, that's just firstly fake. The reason why I can tell you is because none of these things have actually been proven.
So he's saying that where I offer evidence, which he clearly didn't go and watch, he's saying that in order for something to be real, it has to be proven. So in other words, I'm the person that's proven it, so someone has to prove it, and hands up, I've done it. So he's not looked at it because no one else has said it's been done. So in other words, if someone can actually prove something, this guy will never ever look at it because he needs someone else, and yet the other person he won't look at it either. Oh, help. evidence the Anunnaki were the gods in the Bible. 0 people. I mean, just go look at all my posts. 0 people of faith actually have any faith in the belief that they have. So I offer the evidence to show that the Anunnaki were the gods in the Bible. 100% evidence. And any religious person, I always say to them, would you like to see the evidence? And they change the subject or they say no. Now, I don't know about you, but if someone said to me and I had 100% faith in what I say, I will watch their evidence and I will try and debunk it. If I can't debunk it, so be it. In this case, this person would not have been able to debunk the evidence that the Anunnaki were the gods in the Bible, because we have the evidence there. If you're interested, let me know and I'll show you where it is. But it's funny that people of faith have no faith. I just don't get it. None. No one ever has said yes. Wow, this person's at it again. So he's already said that I said many things which I've never ever said. And now he's saying that you lie all the time because you say angels didn't fall. No, I've never said that. I've said angels are messengers. That's a fact. You can't change that. That's what it is. Hebrew word for messenger is angel. Regarding the fallen angels, I keep saying the fallen angels were the Ajiji. So you'll never be able to find what you said that I've said, because I've never said what you say, because you're just making up crap. Oh, why do I bother? Why? People are so silly. Don't hate me for this. One of my followers asked me to watch a video because he's fed up with people that don't actually do proper research. So he wanted me to look at it and show where the errors are.
That the Rh negative people are the survivors of the Atlantean civilization. They're the descendants of the survivors of Atlantis, because the concentration of the Rh negative blood type is in that area.
So first of all, the problem is this guy would then need to have the control of an Atlantis person, in other words, the blood type control, to know that the Rh negative come from there. So all he's done is assumed that because there's Rh negative in a clump, therefore it belongs to Atlanteans, which we know is not how you do research. Anyway, the actual most area that has the highest concentration of Rh negative is the Basque, which is in Spain, just up here. Now you could say, okay, well maybe Atlantis is there, because he did say that it was in the same area as Atlantis. So have we got any Atlantis people saying anything from there? We've got all of these places that people say that is Atlantis. Unfortunately, none of those actually have a city that's sunken with Thoth's temple, because Thoth was an Atlantean. None of them's got any of that, except for me. Now, I've already done my homework, and if you click on my profile name at the top there, my image, and just go to here, yes, I actually show you with evidence where Atlantis is, and it is not where the Basque people are. So in fairness to the gentleman that did the video, he does at the end sort of caveat himself by adding the word all gods. And so yes, the Anunnaki were the ones that physically bred with the Homo sapiens to create Homo sapiens sapiens. And I believe that the blood type, because it came from the Middle East, at the same time as the Anunnaki physically bred with the Homo sapiens to create Homo sapiens sapiens, which were the demigods direct off of Anunnaki and humans. That's where we get the blood type from, not from Atlantis. And also, if you watch my amazing documentary on Atlantis, you'll find out that Atlanteans were actually the Anunnaki anyway. So, yeah, there you go. So this is the danger you have, ladies and gentlemen. So this person says that the Ajiji were the slaves of the Anunnaki. Now, I've got the evidence that they weren't. They were just the sons of Anunnaki, as it says in the Bible. I've got all the evidence. You can just go to my website, outtruthhistory.co.uk, scroll down on the homepage to where it says click here, you'll see the evidence. Anyway, this person said that the evidence that they were slaves to the Anunnaki is in the Epic of Gilgamesh. I'm asking this person, please do a video link or reply on here with the actual passages that says that the Ajiji in the Epic of Gilgamesh were slaves. Now, we're going to wait a very long time until the end of the universe, but hey. And when you also wrote it's all over the internet, that's because stupid people copy other stupid people. They do, unfortunately. So you're now listening to stupid people. So if you want the actual true evidence, sorry, come to me. Why do people make up crap? So this person says, you keep thinking those fake gods aren't fallen angels. First of all, their race name, the Anunnaki's race name is God, so they're not fake. That's their race name, so you can't fault that. Then you wrote, you keep thinking these fake gods aren't fallen angels. I've never said that. I've always said that the Ijiji, which actually translates into watchers in the sky, which is your watchers, were the fallen angels, because we've got the Sumerian text as well as the Bible that says the sons of God, which were the young Anunnaki, which were called the Ijiji, were the fallen angels. I don't know where you get this crap from. And that you think angels are demons. I've never ever said demons were real. And I've always said angels are messengers. So in other words, and then you wrote debate me. So in other words, you've probably watched one video and made up a load of crap and thought that you'd be able to outsmart me. Unfortunately, one of us was slightly smarter than the other one.
All ancient civilizations depicted a flat Earth under a dome.
No, they did not, because if they did, you would have been showing those same images that you're talking about that depicts the flat Earth with a dome over the top. But instead, you're actually showing computer-generated images, AI images, which means you don't have the original images to say that they actually was depicting a flat Earth with a dome, because they never did. If you want to follow me, because I don't lie, I won't mess around with you guys, I tell you the truth, and I'm damn good at it. There is your God from the Bible. Yes, he was an Anunnaki, and yes, this is a children's world's first book that actually has not only evidence, but it talks about the Anunnaki coming here, doing all the things that they did, which is in the Bible if you know how to read the Bible properly. And so this book's a children's book with evidence. At the bottom of every single page, it even tells you the years, etc., that things were happening. And so that's the actual ark there. So when you look at the other kids' books that's got Noah's Ark in it and it's got a giraffe sticking out the window, no. And again, the actual ark with evidence, there's all links to evidence and everything else like that down the bottom of every single page. So this is an amazing children's book, world's first, and this is just the sample version I've just been sent finally. I've done it so you know it's going to have factual information in it. And as soon as it's available for sale, I will let everyone know. So I'm really excited by it. Thank you. Every day I get asked to look at other researchers' videos, and the reason why is because none of those show evidence. Obviously my videos do. So people are starting to wake up and say, hang on a minute, these people just talk, whereas our true history actually shows. So then they start sending me these videos and saying, can you have a look and tell me whether this person's correct? Because obviously they don't know whether this person's correct because this person doesn't offer any evidence, which I always do. So let's just have a look at this person. The name of this person is called, I won't even try and pronounce it, Ashiana. Yeah, I can't pronounce stuff. Okay, so let's have a listen and see whether or not this person knows what they're talking about.
We did not come out of the apes. They came out of us.
So, okay, so she said that. Now, the earliest Homo sapiens was 300,000 years ago. The earliest Homo sapiens sapiens is around 160, but it's not. It's actually 100,000. The mainstream just doesn't seem to quite get their dates right 100%. However, let's have a look at when any of these modern apes that came from us, and basically none of them even come close to the dates that the would be around for us, except for us. You get the idea. So unfortunately this lady's wrong on that account. Let's have a listen to some more. Sorry, I'm just going through her video and wow, she enough waffles.
There's an agenda. There are probable versions of what any species can evolve into, but there's also a primary version of what a species was intended to become.
So it's 4 minutes so far of her saying stuff that actually doesn't really mean anything, and I thought my videos were slow paced, and I really do try and fire out the old information. So this lady says that she gets information from the Guardians. Now this is alien race. Now my problem with that, as always, is people have gone missing and disappeared for seeing UFOs. In other words, for saying I've seen a UFO, I've seen an alien. So any researchers, in my opinion, don't hate me for saying this, but any researchers, in my opinion, that claim they get actual information about our solar system and technologies, etc., such as Bashar and this person here, I'm surprised that the government haven't picked them up, if you get what I'm saying, the secret government. So anyway, so this person says that they get the information from aliens. Let's have a listen here.
the energy systems for what is called the cosmic matrix. At the center of the cosmic matrix, and this is a center that we will not find no matter how far we send out a rocket ship into space.
So the problem with this is obviously I can't verify what she's saying here because she's lucky enough to be chosen by the aliens to explain all of these details, which is very nice of them. You know, I wouldn't have the time to go to another planet and, do you know what I mean, and pick one particular person and hope that that person gets a platform to be able to share the information that I've shared with that person. It's a very thin line because unless you're very famous, it's very difficult to find someone that can actually, I mean, I'm, you know, the foremost expert in these paranormal things and ancient aliens, etc., and yet YouTube suppresses my videos, and I've proven that deliberately. So if an alien was to help me and give me this information, it wouldn't do much because YouTube. So this lady here is very lucky that she seems to be having people in front of her that's actually probably paying to go and see her.
We are all composed of particles that are conscious units of the unified, which means we are all composed of particles of the consciousness of God. And that
okay,
alone,
so she
was a very moving.
She just said consciousness of God, and obviously we know for a fact, and if you're interested in the evidence of that, all you have to do is go to my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk, and find out that God was actually a Anunnaki. I've proven it, 100% proof. No one's ever debunked it. No one ever can. Just go to my website, click where it says click here on the home page. So unfortunately, this lady straight away, from my opinion, as soon as you mention the word God, you know that she doesn't really know what she's talking about because the race name of gods belong to the Anunnaki. Now, if she said something else, if she said source or creation, fine, I wouldn't have had a problem. But if you watch my documentary, the race name for the Anunnaki was gods. So she's now just quoted the Anunnaki, which is wrong. So I think you can probably guess where I'm going to go. So there's no point in going any further on this lady's video. So this religious person's asked me for evidence that the Anunnaki were the gods in the Bible. So I sent them this link, which is a 34-minute video that's on YouTube. There's actually 3 hours worth. And it basically goes through the biblical versions of what the original tablets say. In other words, the original tablets that talk about the flood, etc., where Enki was the one that told Noah to build the ark. So that is biblical. So this person doesn't obviously want to see the evidence because they won't go and watch this video. Now, this video, as I say, is very long. So I could just point to, if you just want one then, the British Museum, the Noah's Ark tablet. There you go. Enki tells Noah. So there you go, that's one. But if anyone else is interested in the evidence, as I say, it's a 34-minute video on, all you have to do is just go to my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk, scroll down on the homepage and click here. Did you know Close Encounters of the Third Kind was based off of Project Serpo, where 13 people went on Zeta Reticuli craft to Serpo, a planet? Did you know that Bigfoot has been seen many, many times with little greys, which suggests that the Bigfoot is actually an alien race, and the ones that's here are stuck here from 10,000 years ago after their ship crashed? Did you know the Mark of the Beast actually has already happened and is to do with comets? You're going to say, what? Yeah, I show all of this with evidence. It's all to do with comets. Did you know Kronos was not around at the time of the start of the solar system as written in the ancient texts? But the ancient texts were actually just written by people basing their stories off of what they believed. I actually show evidence that Kronos was not around. If you're interested in all the evidence for everything that I've just said, just go to ourtruehistory.co.uk and search for whatever it is you're after.
Translation. It says, in the beginning Elohim created the universe, or created the...
This religious person says that the Bible got it wrong by saying that God created heaven and earth. He says that it actually says God's created heaven and earth, which actually he's even wrong. It actually says God's preparing heaven and earth. And if you want to go see the evidence of that, just simply go to Young's literal translation of the Bible. And that's a direct English version off of the Hebrew version. And so that actually says preparing, not created, because obviously the Anunnaki, who are our fathers, who are in space, They prepared for the first 6 days. Tablets were in the Columbia University, and then on the 7th day, Enki said, "Let this day be a day of rest." So, follow religious people, or always go to me, who has the evidence and points to the evidence, by the way. So there's a channel on YouTube called Anunnaki Origins, and it says here Riddick Dawson presents a full feature film on the Anunnaki. Unfortunately, what they've actually done is stolen my words, in fact, actually directly off of my video. So this was released 5 days ago, and the video that they nicked my actual wording from was done 9 days ago, which is also on YouTube. So have a listen to this, and you'll see that they actually just literally... Well, you'll see how bad it is. And this is why you should follow me instead of these guys, because obviously they're getting the information from me. So you might as well just go straight to the horse's mouth. Have a listen.
Pale blue eyes and white hair. Noah was also the direct child of Enki and a Homo sapien woman called Bonash. That's why Enki wanted to save Noah. Noah had blonde hair, blue eyes, and pale skin. He was dark-skinned compared to Lamarck, who was Bynex's husband. You can see all this evidence in my documentary, The Great Flood. Please see my video. It's free to watch. Look for a comprehensive overview of our true history. Co-UK. Some individuals have highlighted the significance...
So they actually did a lot more than just that. They've talked about the bag, which is exactly the word that I said. But let's just show you this. So this is my actual version, Crash Course on an Anunnaki, where they stole the information from. Blue-eyed and white hair. Noah was also a direct child from Enki and a Homo sapien woman called Banash. That's why Enki wanted to save Noah. That's why Noah had blonde hair, blue eyes, pale skin, compared to Lamech, who was Banash's husband. He was dark-skinned. You can see all of the evidence of this on my documentary called The Great Flood. Please see my video. It's free to watch. Search Great Flood on ourtruehistory.co.uk. Some people have... So you can see, I mean, the rest goes on. Basically, they've nicked loads and loads of bits of my videos. So you've got a choice. Either follow someone that kind of has no idea what they're doing other than copying people, or go direct to mine. Yes, I don't have as many followers because people nick my stuff. So maybe follow me and learn it direct. Thank you very much for watching. So this person said nothing is real in a simulation. So let's break that down for a moment, because he seems to think that we're in a simulation. So a simulation is either stimulation of blood flowing, which is not, then the action of pretending or deception, clever simulation that's good enough to trick you. The problem is, if we are inside a simulation, we wouldn't know any different. There is no way that we would know that we're being tricked, because we wouldn't have known what the original was in the first place. So that kind of defeats that. You have to know what the original is to know that you're being tricked. And then the production of a company model, especially for the purpose of study. So in other words, if we was inside a simulation, we are real. To us, everything is real. But to the outside people that's looking in, that created the simulation, it's not real. So therefore, your comment where nothing is real, then sadly something is. Elongated skulls, are they alien or not? I've just finished doing an amazing long deep dive video called Ultimate Elongated Skull Video. It's on my Patreon page, Patreon, or you can get to it from my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk. It's 40 minutes long, and I hope it shows you the answers to questions that you really, A, probably never even thought of asking, and B, I can guarantee you there's stuff in this video that you would never have thought of or seen anyone conclude before. So hope you enjoy it. You can get to it, as I say, from my website or from Patreon. Thank you. Religious people, please answer this. You won't be able to, but for everyone else, this is going to blow your mind. So at the same time that God was telling kings to do various different things in ancient times, there was another group of gods actually called the Anunnaki, and their race name was called gods. And so we have ancient tablets that predate the Bible telling us that the Anunnaki created us, telling us the Anunnaki allowed the flood, telling us all this and everything else. And of course their names are gods, that's their race names. However, if people back in ancient times, as religious people believe, all knew about one God, then why was there no temples made for the one God? In fact, the oldest known temples were for the Anunnaki, the race we call God, or the race name called gods. Why did they get temples and not one almighty being? Because they were the gods in the Bible.
There's 2 books unlike any other you will read. Finally, you'll get answers to the biggest unsolved mysteries. Anunnaki, aliens, spirits, Atlantis, crystal and elongated skulls, Bigfoot, and so much more. 15 different chapters in each book, covering many different paranormal subjects. Available on Amazon, Kindle, and Audible. They will make an excellent present for someone. Just type on Amazon, Ebbins Publishing, and you will find the books.
Yes, we're back round to whether or not the Anunnaki were dark-skinned. Now, you know, if you've watched my videos, you know I've asked 1,000 times to people that generally seem to be of darker skin that want the Anunnaki to be darker skinned. Now, I have said that the Anunnaki did create the first Homo sapiens, which were dark-skinned, because I know certain groups want to have everything a certain colour. So, anyway, this particular person said they're not pale-skinned because look at the image of them. So I said, show me one of the Anunnakis with a flat nose then, because they've all got short, sharp, pointy noses, which seems to be a European trait or a pale skin trait. So obviously then he come back and said, oh, well, you know, this is what he wrote. Look at the depictions the Sumerians and Babylons left themselves. I have, and they look pale. Also, I have evidence as well, which I offered this person once he shows me evidence they were dark-skinned. Of course, he hasn't. Oh, I give up. Alien Anunnaki, the ones that created us. This question's regarding that. So, I mentioned in a previous video that the original words in the Bible is God's preparing heaven and earth. That is actually from the Young's literal translation, direct off of Hebrew. All the other versions have changed it to God created heaven and earth. So this person's asking, well, why did the Anunnaki say they were preparing? They didn't. They actually laid out what they were doing. The tablets are in the Columbia University. They're owned by the Rothschilds, and the Moorhens have catalogued them and translated them. And what they say in the tablets is that on day 1 they separated the waters, you know, salt and fresh water. Day 2 they made pens for the animals. Day 3 they catalogued the plants, and so on. And on the 7th day, Enki said, let this day be a day of rest. It's the translations in Hebrew that added they just narrowed it down to saying preparing. Satan's coming to get us all is all I hear. Repent before Satan comes. I get that a lot, actually. So all I'm doing is just asking to name one person. Someone just name one person that's actually been hurt or killed since the Bible was written by Satan. Just name one. I'll wait. And then when you realise you can't, then you realise that the word Satan was actually to do with an adversary that was one of the Anunnaki gods, because they were all called gods because that's what their race name was. It was just one of the other gods that they didn't like. It was an adversary, same as Lucifer was. The original word was adversary. So please stop saying Lucifer's and Satan's deceiving us and all this baloney. It really is baloney. I don't know how you guys can just I don't know, I give up. Show me one fake ancient tablet. I will wait and wait and wait. This is where the spirit that joins with you connects. It's the pineal gland. That's why it was actually the Eye of Horus. So if you go to the National Institute of Health, they even say the pineal gland was described as the seat of the soul, which is where the orb joins with you. Now, the problem with this is that pineal gland gets calcified, and we know that because when you look at the University of Virginia, their studies where they've actually literally proven that people can remember the past life that the orb was with. It's not your own orb. You don't get an orb. It joins with you. Most of those people or children that can remember their past life live in places where there's no fluoride in the water. Now, fluoride actually does calcify the pineal gland. In other words, is it being done deliberately so we don't actually know what's going on? I'll let you figure that one out. Hi everyone, I'm doing a map on where the Anunnaki were. Obviously this is a modern map showing Iraq, for example, but when it's finished, you'll be able to simply just click on that and see where each of the Anunnaki's places was, where the Ark was built, where in fact, even where the Great Flood actually came from. It was down here. There's a little icon there. So when you click on that, you find out that the actual ice shelf broke off there, and the tsunami went all the way up and pushed the water that way, which is why some of these places are flooded and yet other places further up are not. So it will be done fairly soon. So once it's all done, this will all be populated. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. Did you know there was two types of real men in black, the American personnel and aliens? Did you know the oldest known temples in the world was not built for God? They were actually built for Enlil, Enki, Ninurta, etc., who were the Anunnaki gods. That's their race name that created us. I can show evidence for all of this. Did you know that mainstream is now finally agreeing that a giant ice shelf slid off and caused the Great Flood? They're saying around 1,400. It was actually around 1,200. Again, I can show all of the evidence of this. So they're finally catching up with what I've been saying forever. Did you know there's a document online that's called the Special Operations Manual, which shows what happens when a alien UFO crashed in the 50s, what the military would have to do? Did you know that the Ajiji were the sons of the Anunnaki, the younger gods? They were the ones that we call fallen angels, and I can show this, and they weren't slaves. I can show this with evidence. All you have to do is go to my website, outtruehistory.co.uk, and type in what you want. So this person said that Nimrod is Gilgamesh and Marduk is Nimrod, which means Marduk would be Gilgamesh. Unfortunately, I did try and explain this already to this person, but they then wrote this again, which is really sad. They obviously haven't done any research. So in the Epic of Gilgamesh, it explains that Gilgamesh's mother was Anunnaki and his father was human. That's why he went on the journey to try and get to Nibiru in order to have long life like his mother, as opposed to short life like his father. Whereas Marduk, we know his father is Enki. That's actually written absolutely all over the place. So they cannot be the same. Also the time differences as well. So yeah, if anyone's interested, I am the foremost expert in this field. So feel free to follow and learn.
If God was mad at the world, why would he tell Noah to build a big boat? Why not just make everybody die?
Because there was two gods. One was Enlil and one was Enki. Enlil was the one that wanted the flood to happen, and Enki was the one that tried to stop the flood and told Ziusudra, which was Noah. Luckily, we've got all the tablets that predate the Bible. Don't forget the Bible did copy the older tablets, and the older tablets have the Anunnaki's race name, again predating the Bible, as gods. We're humans, they were gods, not a problem. So religious people like the person on this video doesn't quite grasp the fact that there was actually more than one God. In fact, if you go back to the original Bible, such as Young's literal translation, where it isn't changed like all the other stupid versions, you have gods preparing heaven and earth, whereas all the other stupid versions have been changed to God created heaven and earth. So straight away he's starting off on a premise that God was real, which it's not. Anunnaki were real. This might blow your mind and you might want to share this video. Just bear with me. So the Great Flood actually happened and the boat was a coracle boat. It was basically like a squashed football. And we know that because the British Museum head curator Irving Finkel actually has the tablet, and it's in the British Museum, and there's a lecture for it. But that's not what's going to blow your mind. What's going to blow your mind is Alex Thomas of Oxford University said that around 14,600 years ago, an ice shelf broke off Antarctica and slid into the ocean, creating a tsunami. So that was where the Great Flood is. Now, however, he's got his dates wrong. It's technically 12,000 years BC. And if you watch any of my videos, you know why. But I'm now going to play you an audio file from a video that I've done called The Great Flood. You can actually get to this video from my website, outtruehistory.co.uk, and just type in Great Flood. And then scroll down until you come to this particular video, The Great Flood, All You Need to Know. So have a listen to this and you will see that the ice shelf is correct, and it was all to do with the Anunnaki, which is our alien fathers, our Father who art in heaven, the Anunnaki. And here you're going to listen to a translation by the Moorhens from tablets in the Columbia University about what actually happened in the Great Flood. So here we go, listen to this.
The heavens as a star for several nights before the catastrophe. There was darkness during the day,
and the moon was consumed by a monster at night. The earth began to tremble because of an unknown force. In the light of dawn, a dark cloud appeared on the horizon. The light of the morning faded as if death's shadow had been concealed. Then there was a thunderclap, and lightning illuminated the sky. "Depart, depart." Utu gave Anunnaki the signal. The Anunnaki were elevated to the heavens while crouched in the heavenly ships.
Space, heaven.
The bright eruptions of Ninagal could be seen from 18 leagues away in Shurbok. But not closure of the hatch, Ninagal yelled towards Siusudra. They lowered the trapdoor concealed by the hatch. The boat was completely enclosed and watertight, but a ray of light was able to penetrate the interior. That unforgettable day, the deluge began with a roar. The Earth's foundation shook in the white land at the Earth's center. The ice sheet then slid off its foundations with the sound of 1,000 thunderclaps. It was drawn away by Nibiru's unseen net force and crashed into the South Sea.
So there you go. So basically what happened was, exactly as this guy in Oxford University has worked out, an ice shelf got broken off because Nibiru, their planet, came round and was close to Earth, and that's what happened. And they knew that would happen. That's why Enki told Ziusudra, which was Noah. Enki tells him, and that's in the tablets in the British Museum. So you can forget all this God business about God being happy and God being sad. In fact, you can actually, if you watch this documentary, you'll find that Enlil was the one that wanted us to perish, whereas Enki didn't. And I show all the evidence, as always, on all my videos. So if you're interested in the Great Flood, learning more about everything, including further on where we actually show the evidence that the actual flood definitely did happen, and so on, ignore that. That's where the people seem to think that that's me saying it was. People think that the boat looks like that, which it doesn't. It's actually a coracle shape. But this whole video goes through evidences that the actual flood happened as well. So it's an hour-long documentary. So yeah, enjoy. I might have been right after all. So the orb, or the light energy being, or the spirit, whatever you want to call it, that joins with our pineal gland in our brain 3 to 4 months while we're in the mother's womb, that orb stroke ghost, also when you die you're connected with it, doesn't like sunlight. I've been saying that for a very long time. Anyway, it turns out, I've just been doing some checking, it turns out that photons do affect plasma. So most people seem to agree that orbs are actually made of plasma. Now plasma actually also can be alive. Go look that up. Now if you used to have seances, you used to have red light, which means you would be able to communicate with the spirits better than having a white light. So in other words, the white light frequency, as I was just trying to explain here with neutrons, etc., cause the plasma orb to not be able to. That's why you have ghosts at night. They don't like sun. Amazing news, everyone. This person said that the sun is localized and clouds go behind it. I asked for evidence of, any pilot that went behind the sun, because obviously clouds are actually lower than planes can go. In other words, a plane can go behind the sun. So I just said, could you name one person? And obviously this person then swore at me and stuff. And then I still said, I'm still waiting. And then he wrote this message. There's evidence all over the internet. So I'm just asking you, don't make me go anywhere else. Give me a name of one pilot that went behind the sun. Because if you say the sun is localized, which you did, and you say the clouds are behind the sun, I want that name. I want it now. And when you realise you can't do it, A, don't be rude and swear at me, and B, stop putting those laughing faces, because unfortunately everyone's probably laughing at you. Giant petrified trees. I'm actually doing a deep dive into whether or not, for example, the Devil's Tower is a petrified tree. Unlike other people, my research is second to none without sounding rude, and trust me, when you watch this new video that I'm doing, I have come up with things that no one else has thought of. So, yes, I know I'm self-praised, but just wait, because originally I was on the fence saying, no, I don't think that they were trees. However, using my own research skills, I'm just going to leave it as wait till you see the video. I thought I'd put the list of questions here that I'd ask a spirit or ghost. You might find them interesting. About the universe and time. Can you move through time, forwards and backwards? Can you visit anywhere, even if it's the end of the universe? Is there an end to the universe? How was the universe formed? Will the universe end and then restart over again, repeating everything? About spirits and orbs. Are you bound by any laws or rules on the other side? Are you joined with an entity? How long has the orb entity been around in the universe? Are you scared of the orb entity taking control and you never being around anymore? Can an orb entity be transferred from one person to another? Will a transfer of an orb entity allow the person to access the memories in the orb more easily? What is the orb entity's job with each person? Is there just one type of orb entity? Are there any orb entities that want to harm humans? Are you at war with the other types of orb entities? Are the orb entities eternal? Can you choose when the orb entity crosses over again? Does the orb entity learn and progress higher? Does the orb entity choose who the next person it connects with? Is there a council of orbs that the orb must see before joining with the next person to get information about the person it's joining with? Can the orb entity join with aliens? Can the orb entity join with animals? About spirits and humans. Are humans born with a spirit? How many spirits are there per person? Do you cross over again? When you cross over, are you just a memory in the entity? Do you feel emotions? Do you have regrets? Where do you stay? Are you there with other spirits? Can you manifest items or objects on the spirit side? Is any human judged when they die? Do the orb entities get judged? Is there a soul group? How many are in the soul group? Interaction with humans. Are you able to harm a living person? Are you able to kill a living person? Will humans in the future create technology to talk directly to spirits or loved ones that have died? Will humans in the future create technology to talk directly to the orb entity? To find more videos, please visit ourtruehistory.co.uk. Anunnaki from Sirius or Orion? Not so much. Have a listen to this.
Sacred Egyptian writings. The pyramid text described the ancient Egyptian gods as extraterrestrials coming and going from two places, Sirius and Orion.
Actually, it doesn't. Although the translations does give the impression that it comes from Orion, etc., when you actually dig very, very deep like I do, turns out the translations from SAH, people believe is Orion. There is no actual direct evidence that SAH is Orion. So therefore, the translations of the ancient, what they call pyramid texts, which are not really pyramid texts, is nothing to do with Orion other than what people translated it to be, but there is no connection. It's just an assumption. Why do I bother? Have you heard about Stonehenge that's under Lake Michigan? People seem to think it's around 10,000 years old or possibly older. So it doesn't have the top pillars that Stonehenge has, but obviously they could have came off. It is in a complete circle, and as you can see in the background there. Now, if you're interested in finding out why that's there and why Stonehenge is where it is and why Adam's calendar is where it is, I have actually worked it all out. I've done a video which solves why Stonehenge is there. And funny enough, yes, it's to do with mining, and yes, there were ancient mines right near here. So again, it just solidifies all my evidence in this video. If you're interested, all you have to do is just go to ourtruehistory.co.uk, scroll down until you get to the one that says Stonehenge solved, and you can sit and watch that video with evidence as always.
It says that human beings, or man, Adapa was created to be even higher.
There's a few problems with what Billy's saying. He's saying that the Anunnaki wanted to deliberately create a smarter race than them, which is not actually the case. So Billy's referring to the Adapa story, which you know as Adam and Eve. Now, Enki, which was one of the Anunnaki, had relationships with a human woman, a Homo sapien woman. Now, that Homo sapien woman gave birth to Adapa, you know him as Adam, and he was the first Homo sapien sapien, the more modern human. So in the actual translations of the Adapa story, Enki's surprised that his offspring, because he had relationships with a Homo sapien, he's surprised that that offspring is actually more smarter than the Homo sapiens. So in other words, the modern humans, Homo sapiens sapiens, because they were physically bred with, in other words, proper babies, not genetically modified. So in the actual video that Billy's referring to, he's talking about the Anunnaki wanting to create us smarter. Now, I would ask Billy for the evidence for this, not pointing me to the Adapa story, which is literally just saying where Enki's surprised that one of them's more, Adam's more smarter than the Homo sapiens originally. So I think what's the problems here is Billy's assumed that Adapa was the very first person, which it wasn't. Adapa was the son of a Homo sapien who was a descendant way back from the original first Homo sapien, which would have been called Adamu. So you can go look this up in the translations by the Moorhens. That the tablets are owned by the Rothschilds. They're in the Columbia University. So I think Billy's unfortunately got the wrong end of the stick to start with. But I would ask Billy, regardless of for the evidence that the Anunnaki wanted to create a smarter race. I've never read that anywhere. So I would love to read that the Anunnaki would want to create a smarter race than them. That doesn't make sense on anyone's book. No one would want to create a smarter race. But regardless of whether I think that's stupid or not, I would like to see the evidence that the Anunnaki wanted to. So Billy, if you're listening, no hate, just asking for evidence. Could you, when you say things, you've really got to be able to back it up. Could you show me the evidence, please, that the Anunnaki wanted to create a smarter race than them? Repeat after me. An incantation is not what you think. It's supposed to be a ritualistic series of words or phrases spoken with the intent of invoking a supernatural entity, blessing, or magical effect. However, if you actually go with this translation here of an incantation against toothache from the Cuneiform Parallels written in 1912 from Sumerian tablets, the translations, basically when you get down to the bottom, what you actually find is it says it's an incantation, but really what it is just a prescription. And it says, repeat therein the incantation thrice, 3 times. In other words, make sure, because there was a toothache, make sure the mixed beer, the plant, blah, 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 and oil are mixed together. And then take that 3 times on the root. So incantation has now been totally changed to just a prescription. Feel free to follow and learn a hell of a lot more from. If only there was a book for children that actually gave the real information of what happened in our past. Luckily, literally just been released a new book, children's book called Our True History. We have evidence our history is not what we are told. And in fact, in each page, it actually has at the bottom links to show where the evidence is. And it talks about the Anunnaki, the alien race that came here. So that's now on Amazon. All you have to do is just type in Our True History and you will find the book in your country, .uk.com, wherever it's from. So if you want, you can go with these versions, which have zero evidence, obviously, because the Bible is a copy of the older text, or you can go with this, which actually shows what happened and shows the evidence as well. So your choice if you want to let your kids believe in this kind of stuff. With the boat was a coracle boat. We've got the actual tablet in the British Museum. It's not like that. Anyway, Our True History.
We approached the Great Pyramid, time began to slow down for us. It's called time.
I kind of agree with Billy on this. Now, he's going from the position that the Great Pyramid, because of the mass of it, the size of it, it would cause a dilation. However, here in Sudan, there is a lot smaller pyramids which wouldn't cause the same dilation. However, in Skinwalker Ranch, if you've been watching the program, they have found that there's a cone shape. Now, this one goes up to 2,000 feet. Now, what if a pyramid was built within that cone? Now, there's a few of these around in different places, different ranches. And here we've got one that's a few hundred feet up, which the Great Pyramid would actually reach. So what if the apex of these lights, this is a laser beam, actually gets stopped by something in midair? So what if the pyramids were built on these time dilations, which the Skinwalker Ranch also say they had, and that would be the apex of the pyramid? What do you think, guys?
Okay, so we have found a mountain range with the same properties as the Devil's Tower. The distance between Inyankara Mountain and Devil's Tower is approximately 35 miles, 56 kilometers, by road. Inyankara Mountain doesn't look like a tree, which means my idea that phonolite porphyry seeped into a giant tree doesn't work now. Or does it? Why couldn't magma still seep up through the roots, and also over 30 miles away, the magma bursts through the crust and form any shape? It is a long shot, but still possible. But now we have to address the elephant in the room. The complete flat top of the Devil's Tower compared to Inyankara Mountain, which is rounded. Why does Devil's Tower have a flat top if it was magma coming out of the ground? And more to the point, the height versus the width of Devil's Tower isn't right for magma to stand upright like that. It would have formed more of a pyramid. This is what mainstream say about why the shape is not more like a pyramid. The formation of Devil's Tower involved magma solidifying underground and subsequent erosion, exposing the hardened magma. The shape of the tower, with its relatively straight sides and flat top, reflects the pattern of cooling and contraction of the magma, leading to the columnar jointing. That's a pretty weak excuse if you ask me, saying it may have formed underground. Well, then I can say it may well have been a tree.
Normally, a magma formation looks like a volcano, wide at the base, because the magma goes and then comes down, forming a wider layer at the bottom. My next question would be, is there any other magma outbursts that formed like Devil's Tower but smaller? There is a place called Shiprock. Located in New Mexico, Shiprock is a volcanic neck or plug that forms.
I know, I've done loads of videos where I've asked people would they like to see the evidence the Anunnaki were gods in the Bible, and the religious people always come back and say no. So anyway, this person here has wrote no, because I'm only looking at the evidence for them, which I'm not actually. If you actually watched my video, you would see I look at it from every angle. You're not looking at the whole picture, which is totally untrue. They are not true gods. Again, you've not watched my evidence, so how would you know? You've just gone by the Bible. In fact, you're the one that's not looking at the whole picture. Jesus is the way, the truth, the life, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. So clearly you can see they're totally indoctrinated compared to me, where I looked at absolutely every single angle. That's why zero people can debunk that amazing documentary that I done with the evidence. So if anyone's interested, all you have to do is go to my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk. Scroll down to where it says click here in blue letters. It's a YouTube video. You can go watch it. Enjoy.
This is Sodom and Gomorrah. There's even sulfur balls.
This is the person I suggested go watch my documentary on the Anunnaki being the gods, and this person replied no. Then this person's just done his own video saying that God would real because things that's in the Bible he can prove, such as Sodom and Gomorrah. However, the Anunnaki used weapons of terror. We know that because they actually match the descriptions in the Book of Revelations, all 7 of them. In fact, the word trumpet means missile or rocket. So just because stuff's in the Bible, in fact, we've got the Great Flood in the Bible, but the British Museum has the tablet that the Bible copied from, where it says Enki tells Ziusudra, which was Noah, to build the boat. Enki. So where you're quoting stuff from the Bible, you're actually really just backing up everything that I'm saying. If only you'd watched my video, you would have saved all this aggro. Wrong. So there's some people out there that say that they can read Sumerian cuneiform, and all the other people that's been translated it for over 200 years are completely and utterly wrong. In which case, the people now that say that they can read Sumerian cuneiform say that the previous people were just making up gibberish, even though when they actually translate it, it actually makes sense. But there's a problem also, is things like the Epic of Gilgamesh. There is others. Epic of Gilgamesh is in many different languages: Sumerian, Akkadian, Old Babylonian, Standard Babylonian, Hittite, which all say the same thing. So when the proper researchers translate the tablets and they match the Old Babylonian, Standard Babylonian, etc., when they match, that would be impossible if this was just all gibberish made up by the translators, and that this one modern person seems to think that he knows what it actually says. So no, you can't have that. It's impossible. This will be the saddest and funniest thing you'll hear all day. So I did a video saying, can someone explain why Satan is bad? In other words, can someone name one thing that Satan's done since the Bible that's bad? And of course no one can. Anyway, this person's basically saying that all aliens are evil, and so are humans. So I says, so you know every race of alien and not one is nice. Can you list every race of alien? Because you obviously said that they're all evil. So wait for it, listen to this. Too many to list, meaning this person knows them all to name, but you are defending the aliens. So basically I'm saying that if the aliens were evil, chances are we wouldn't be here. Yeah. So then this person wrote, you must be one yourself. So I'm an alien from another planet chatting on TikTok because I'm evil. And I wrote back, you must be religious.
I was going to show clips of other people's videos where they quote the Bible and say things like God created the heaven and earth. But again, sadly, these people don't bother to research and are happy to believe in the Bible. First of all, if you have watched my documentary called The Lost Book of Our True History, you'll see the Anunnaki were the gods in the Bible, and that is a proven fact. This means I won't do what those other people do and start from the position of an almighty being, because there was none that the Bible mentions. It was the Anunnaki. If we even want to look at the Bible just to see what it says about the word firmament, we need to look at Young's literal version and nothing else. Young's literal translation, YLT, of the Bible is a translation that aims to be as close to the original Hebrew and Greek texts as possible, preserving the literal structure and word-for-word correspondence as much as feasible in English. It was translated by Robert Young in the late 19th century and is known for its strict adherence to literal accuracy and its avoidance of interpretation or paraphrasing. In the case of Genesis 1:1, which is the opening verse of the Bible, Young's literal translation renders it as follows. In the beginning of God's preparing the heavens and the earth. Compare this to the more commonly known translations, such as the New International Version, NIV. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. As you can see, there's a huge difference between God's preparing and God creating. This means the people that talk about the firmament from the Bible are using the changed versions. Let's be clear here. The word firmament is a word the Anunnaki used many times. However, the modern dictionary takes the word firmament from the Bible, which is newer than the Anunnaki texts, and thus the dictionary is already starting from an error. But here in the dictionary is the meaning of firmament based of the Bible and not the ancient texts that the Bible copied. Firmament. Fee, mum, age, ant. Noun literary. Noun. Firmament. Plural. Noun. Firmaments, the heavens or sky. Thunder shakes the firmament. Middle English, via Old French from Latin firmamentum, from firmary, fix, settle. So even from the dictionary, no one should be saying we have an impenetrable dome over Earth. So let's look at what people use to believe in a dome. As I quote the Bible, you'll see how they are changed in the different versions. In the Bible, the term firmament appears specifically in Genesis 1:6-8 in the King James Version, KJV. However, in other translations like the New International Version, NIV, and the English Standard Version, ESV, the word firmament is not used. Instead, they use vault and expanse, respectively, to translate the same Hebrew word. So, in terms of the exact word firmament, it only appears in Genesis 1:6-8 in the KJV. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. And the evening and the morning were the second day. Genesis 1:6-8, New International Version, NIV. And God said, "Let there be a vault between the waters to separate water from water." So God made the vault and separated the water under the vault from the water above it. And it was so. God called the vault sky. And there was evening, and there was morning, the second day. Genesis 1:6-8, English Standard Version, ESV. And God said, "Let there be an expanse in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters." And God made the expanse and separated the waters that were under the expanse from the waters that were above the expanse. And it was so. And God called the expanse heaven. And there was evening and there was morning, the second day. The Young's Literal Bible says this, Genesis 1:6-8, Young's Literal Translation. And God saith, "Let an expanse be in the midst of the waters, and let it be separating between waters and waters. And God maketh the expanse, and it separateth between the waters which are under the expanse, and the waters which are above the expanse, and it is so. And God calleth to the expanse heavens, and there is an evening, and there is a morning, day second."
Did anyone see where it mentioned an impenetrable, invisible dome over Earth? No, that's because it didn't say that. It said, "in the expanse to separate the waters," nothing to do with a dome. But I'll show you the evidence later of what it was talking about.
What the original Bible has done is taken ancient texts and tried to put them in an order. For example, in examining ancient texts such as the Bible and the Sumerian Eridu Genesis, intriguing disparities emerge regarding the origin and creation of humanity. The Bible, revered by Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, presents a creation narrative in the book of Genesis, where humans, Adam and Eve, are fashioned by God on the sixth day of creation. This account forms a cornerstone of Abrahamic faiths, conveying theological truths about the divine origin of humanity and its relationship with the Creator. In contrast, the Sumerian Eridu Genesis offers a distinctly different perspective. Originating from ancient Mesopotamia, this text recounts how the gods Enki and Ninmah created humanity after a prolonged...
To watch the full long documentary and see how the firmament is proven to be something else other than a solid dome, please visit ourtruehistory.co.uk. You'll find over 1,000 videos that answer the many mysteries that you thought will never be solved. The Norse god frost giant, I've now got even more evidence that proves I'm right. So I've said that the frost giant was a planet called Tiamat that got broken up. And I show this with evidence, but the evidence to show that the planet Tiamat got broken up is in the Columbia University. There's 14 tablets. And basically, I've said that because the frost giant was the frozen planet of Tiamat, that means when it got broken up and part became Earth and part became the asteroid belt, that means Earth must have been cold and possibly an ice planet. Well, funny enough, Berkeley Geological Center has now agreed that snowball Earth, when Earth was almost the whole planet was covered in ice, and that's because it was part of the frost giant, part of Tiamat. And so if you want to learn any more of this stuff, I always show evidence, so you can actually watch the documentaries on this, long documentaries, as well as many other things that I've solved that no one else has solved, 10 Plagues of Egypt. We have de-evolved, everybody. So this person's replying to a post I'd done on another video where I said that we have the tablets in the Columbia University where Enki tells the other Anunnaki that on the seventh day, let this day be a day of rest. And this person, who's obviously a religious person, is saying, aha, well, so what if it's in the Columbia University? The Bible's all over the world. So the Anunnaki wrote in clay tablets. They didn't have a printing machine, and there wasn't Anunnaki all over the planet. There was only, at any one time, 2,000 Anunnaki. Roll on to present day, we have printing machines that print the Bibles. And also, you do realise that the Bible that you're reading from is wrong. The only Bible you need to go to is the Young's Literal Translation, which says God's preparing heaven and earth, whereas your version says God created, which is wrong. So, we have the evolved people. This person here has proved we are not as smart as we should be. We are de-evolving, and this is why people should follow me. On a serious note, you should, because I won't lie to you guys. So this silly person has said that the Book of Enoch is older by 15 centuries than the Sumerian tablets. However, the Sumerian tablets are the oldest civilized language we have. And so, but bottom line is, the Book of Enoch was written 2,800 years after the Sumerian tablets. And that's a fact. I don't know what this. Where do we go from here, everybody? Seriously, where do we go when you've got silly people? And I mean, I get them every single day that just make up stuff. And you know, this person's carrying on arguing with me in the background as well on the posts. Where do we go from here? We are de-evolving in logic and sensible reasoning, etc. It's just crazy. Oh, no wonder why they're depopulating us.
You might want to share this. Anunnaki Gods versus the Bible God from our truehistory.co.uk. Anunnaki. The Anunnaki, a group of Sumerian gods, are considered as gods on earth, God of Israel. Yep, God. Anunnaki. The Sumerian gods inscribed their stories on tablets. The Bible is a record derived from those ancient tablets. Anunnaki. Sumerian gods like Enlil and Enki are depicted as immortal beings. God in the Bible. The God of the Bible is also portrayed as eternal and immortal. Enlil. Enlil, a prominent deity in Sumerian mythology, is described as having a throne made of lapis lazuli. God in the Bible. In the book of Exodus, God is described as sitting on a throne of lapis lazuli. Exodus 24:10. Enlil. Enlil is often referred to as the highest among the gods. God in the Bible. The God of the Bible is frequently referred to as the Most High, e.g. Psalm 83:18. Enlil. Enlil allowed the flood to happen to destroy humanity. God in the Bible. In the Genesis account, God caused the flood to cleanse the world of human wickedness. Genesis 6:5-7. Enki. Enki, another Sumerian god, warned Ziusudra, or Utnapishtim, about the impending flood, enabling him to build a boat and survive. God in the Bible. God warned Noah about the flood and instructed him to build an ark to save himself, his family, and pairs of animals. Genesis 6:13-22. Anunnaki. Enki is credited with creating humans from clay in Sumerian texts. God in the Bible. In the Bible, God creates the first human, Adam, Adamu, from the dust of the ground. Genesis 2:7. Anunnaki. The Sumerian gods often convene in a council to make decisions, such as the decision to send the flood. God in the Bible. The Bible also depicts a divine council or assembly of heavenly beings, e.g. Psalm 82:1. Anunnaki. Centered in Mesopotamia. God of Israel. The Israelites were neighbors to Mesopotamian civilizations, with cultural and trade interactions between these regions. Yahweh. Yahweh has been providing evidence that he was Marduk, the Anunnaki. Anunnaki. The Sumerian gods, particularly Enlil, are associated with the sacred mountain Ekur. God in the Bible. God is often associated with sacred mountains, such as Mount Sinai, Exodus 19, and Mount Zion.
I show evidence to all of this in documentaries on my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk. So apparently this guy, I don't know what his name is or where he's from, has had premonitions, and apparently, according to the locals, he is very good. And one of the premonitions, which made me interested, was he said something to do with lawless shoplifting, in other words, people stealing from shops. The judges not interested. So in other words, allowing people to continue to steal, so that in the future there will be these distribution centres and no shops. So you will have to use, I'm guessing, phones to order food, and they will determine whether or not you're worthy of the food. In other words, total control, which I think is where he was getting at. So what's your thoughts? Do you think that's a premonition that's going to come true? I hope not. This is very interesting. So this person's wrote, the rock strata of the Grand Canyon proves there was never any flood across the earth. Now, unfortunately, this person hasn't worked out that the Grand Canyon would have needed to be lower than the level that the flood ended up at. In other words, we've got Bimini Road, etc., that's actually under the water, which means there was a flood and things are now under the water. In order for the Grand Canyon to have shown any evidence of that, it would have needed to be lower than the water, sea level that we're at now, in order for it to have been flooded over. So in other words, Grand Canyon may have been higher than the actual rise of the flood, therefore the Grand Canyon doesn't show any evidence of flood because the Grand Canyon was higher, such as Easter Island was higher, which it was because if you actually look, it was part of the mainland. Same as Malta was part of a mainland, but that was higher. So Grand Canyon's higher, therefore, oh, people, come on. I do love the conviction of this religious person. No matter how many times I prove them wrong, they just completely and utterly go with the Bible, even though we know the Bible's got inconsistencies and we know the Bible copied the older text. But basically, this person said the Anunnaki are absolutely evil. So I asked, could you give me one example of them being evil? Just one. And this is their reply. Search so many here videos. No, there is no videos of the Anunnaki. There's sometimes you might come across Enlil being a bit naughty, which is your God in your Bible, where he allows the flood to happen. So, and that's a fact. I can show the evidence of that. I have done. I've showed the evidence. And I've offered you the evidence, in fact, and you keep avoiding watching the evidence. So I'm guessing you have zero faith in the Bible. So, again, show me where the evidence is the Anunnaki are all evil. I'll wait.
Realize that the earth is an enclosed system. There's a firmament over it, just like the Bible says.
Sadly, that's not true. The only mention of the word firmament is in the King James Version, and it doesn't mention whether we're an enclosed space. In fact, the other versions talk about it being an expanse or a void. So, if you actually want to know really what the firmament was, I'll give you a hint. It's to do with the asteroid belt. But I can also show you the evidence, 100% evidence as always with my videos. Feel free to scroll back on my videos and you'll see the one that says what the firmament really was. And you'll see that the Bible does not talk about an invisible dome or anything else. Unfortunately, people just, I don't know where they got that from. But if you want the evidence, feel free to watch my videos. Earth was part of a smashed up planet called Tiamat. Now, if that's the case, why is it nice and round instead of sort of a funny odd shape like this? Well, if you take the water away that's leveled out, then we end up with a bit of a bulgy planet that's not quite the same as what we would imagine it to be. So there's a few images online. I think people were just taking some liberties on their CGI imagery, but you get the point. It wouldn't be completely round, obviously, like we've got now. I know people's going to say, well, it's not completely round, it's a spheroid, or it's partly sphere, it's got a bulge in it and all this kind of stuff. But the point is, you take the water away and we're left with something that's not quite round. Again, still part of another planet. Now, scientists agree that Earth was smashed into by another planet called Theia, which we know really, let's be honest, is Tiamat, the Anunnaki planet.
Long before the stories in the Bible, a different tale of creation was etched in the oldest known tablets of humanity. This is our true history. Meet the Anunnaki, the gods who came to Earth from a distant world. Unlike any other children's book, our true history reveals the hidden truths. Each page is not just a story, but a gateway to evidence. Discover the links and dive into the ancient tablets that predate the Bible, now available on Amazon. It's time to discover the story that was always meant to be told.
Don't hate me, but the Bible says that the serpent spoke to Adam and Eve. Of course, there's no way the Anunnaki would have wrote about serpents talking and things like that, would they? Would they, the Anunnaki, the ones that created us? Well, yes, there's many tablets, in fact, and I'm just pointing one out here, where it says, the eagle made ready to speak, saying to the serpent, come, let us make friendship. It carries on, the serpent and the eagle have a nice little chat, and they promise to be good, etc., etc. So I'm just going to let that sink in for a second. So the Bible, which we all know is a copy of the older text, you get it. Yeah, the Anunnaki. Did you know mermaids were half Anunnaki, half fish? Stonehenge was exactly there because it was covering where the miners, to do with mining in the local area, stayed. I can show all this with evidence as to why. Atlantis was at the top of Egypt. I can show that with evidence. The Nazca mountain range that was sliced off, that was for gold. They actually mined gold there. This is the Anunnaki, obviously. Jesus' father was Marduk. I show this with evidence on my long documentaries. The elongated skulls, again, done one of the best documentaries you'll ever find on elongated skulls, which show that they are, the ones that's missing sutras are genuinely not 100% human. 10 plagues of Egypt actually happened in Israel, and the aftermath, all these creatures went there because they blocked off the waterways, etc., went over to the Nile. The Maui statues were put there before the indigenous people got there, and crystal skulls are not debunked. Go watch my amazing documentaries on ourtruehistory.co.uk. You'll find everything. I think I've worked out what the tabernacle was in the Bible, and it's not what you think. I know people say it's a building, etc. It's not, when you break it down properly. So that information will be out on my latest video called Heaven and Hell Solved. That will be released on the 20th of July 2024, so only a few days away. And just to give you a little hint, there's someone's version of what they think the tabernacle looks like, you know, with some cows there, etc. But it's not. Look at it from a distance. Now, what does that look like? There you go, you've got it already. Well done, guys. So you'll find the information out very, very soon. Thanks.
The Anunnaki will return. These ancient extraterrestrial beings from the planet Nibiru.
As the foremost expert in the Anunnaki, I do get asked a lot, when will the Anunnaki return? And unfortunately, they've never left. And the reason why they didn't leave is because 1 year of their time, just 1 year of their time, is 3,600 years of our time, which means our technology will advance quicker than their technology in the 1 year, which means in 3,600 years, we will actually be more technologically advanced than the Anunnaki. So there is no way that a smart race would have allowed us to just carry on and then come back in a year's time, their year. No way at all. So that's why when you watch other people's videos, you get all confused. Maybe just all follow me and learn, because I always show evidence as well. Sorry.
Will Joe Biden win the 2024 presidential election?
I'm not disrespecting the lady. I actually enjoy her videos. So this is to do with, obviously, Biden not running no more. So therefore the dowsing rods were wrong. So, but this isn't to do with her. The point is, when you talk to a clairvoyant or a medium, etc., they say, oh, here's a possible outcome. But it's a possible outcome out of infinite. Because you could change your mind, you know, as here with Biden's just stopped going for the running for it. So, in other words, why do clairvoyants, why do dowsing rods, why does anything always give us one option? Why can't they just say, look, we don't know, because there's it's infinite. The possibilities are infinite. So don't tell us something like we're going to meet a tall dark man or a woman or whatever if it's never going to happen. Just say, I don't know. There's too many variables. Heaven and Hell has been solved. Yes, the next deep dive video that I'm going to release, it covers Heaven and Hell and explains exactly what they are. They're not what you think they are. With evidence. Don't forget, I'm the one that worked out where Atlantis is with evidence. Watch my pinned video. What Stonehenge was for. Easter Island, the crystal skulls, all solved because I do the research. So just hold on and I will release that video and you'll find out that heaven is space with evidence and hell was partly a burial site. I'm not going to spoil it anymore, so yeah, just follow, keep watching, or go and watch my other documentaries that's already been solved from ourtruehistory.co.uk. And if you're not sure whether I actually know what I'm talking about, just watch my TikTok videos and then you'll realise I know what I'm talking about. So yeah, it's going to be a good one. Enjoy. Interesting fact about Hades and Hell. We're all aware of the three-headed dog. Well, funny enough, Nergal, who was in charge of the underworld or netherworld, had a three-headed dog. And also, the actual word that the Anunnaki used for hell was shades. Now, if you take the S off of that, guess what you've got? Yes, you've got Hades. So I'm actually doing a documentary on hell, showing what it actually really meant. So just bear with me and you'll finally find out the true answers, because I'm the only one that can do that. Because yes, I'm that big-headed, but I've already done it on heaven and many other videos on other subjects. So just hold on and you'll find out finally what hell really was.
Want to find out the answers to these mysteries that have now been solved? Atlantis was real and where? Solved. Who was on Atlantis? Solved Stonehenge. Solved Father of Jesus. Solved who Yahweh was. Solved 10 plagues of Egypt. Solved Norse gods. Solved Kronos. Solved Norse frost giant. Solved name of the creator of everything. Solved mark of the beast. Solved giant petrified trees. Solved firmament. Solved, and so many more. Simply visit ourtruehistory.co.uk.
It's official, everybody. Here is the front cover of the latest book from the author that's done those books that we all love. So those other books that's already on Amazon is Black Ops, Alien Spirits, Bigfoots, and Now Untold History. Done very well. It's got great reviews. And he's also done Atlantis, Mermaids, Pixies, which is also on Amazon. And you can get them on audiobook as well as Kindle and paperback. But this is the cover of the very latest one. It's called Area 51, Stonehenge, Crystal Skulls, Poltergeist, and Now Untold History. And I've been told that there's another 15 chapters in here covering all sorts of things, from the Turin Shroud to possessions of people, etc. And as you know, this guy does amazing deep dives similar to me. So I will let everyone know when this book is out, because I'm looking forward to having a copy of it myself.
Unplugged, and there was human memory.
So this gentleman's saying that the Anunnaki at least 3 times wiped our memories back around 5,000 years ago, give or take. There's a few problems with that. First of all, there's no evidence. Because if we've got our memories wiped, then we have no memory. Second, there were people all over the planet, literally all over the planet. So that means the maximum that we had of Anunnaki was around 2,000. They would have had to have gone round every single person and gave them an injection or spray or something like that, which is feasibly impossible. And third, they would have then had to destroy the tablets that they were writing, telling us what actually happened in our past. But they didn't destroy the tablets. So, in other words, there is no evidence whatsoever that there was memory wipes. There's no reason for them to do memory wipes because they allowed us to inherit the Earth. Why do I bother? I am working on a video that will change history. I know you're thinking, well, hang on a minute, he's already done that with the video on who Jesus' real father was, who Yahweh was. They're small in comparison to what I'm doing. I am literally going through the Bible and explaining what it actually means with evidence. Now, that's no small feat, because there is no creator of everything, as the Bible says, and you're going to see that in the video. So when it comes out, I ask people to share it, because this is the one that will stop everyone going, the Bible says. This is it. This is the big one, guys. So this person's just posted on one of my videos saying, sadly, you miss out the words, the time frame of the creation. Unfortunately, what this person hasn't done, doesn't follow me, that's the first problem. Second, didn't watch the full video where it says this is only a snippet of the full video. So in other words, go to my website and watch the full video. So that person's obviously not done that. But also where it's talking about time frames, I'm actually sitting here right now editing a video to do with the exact time frames and how the Bible's completely wrong. So I'll just click play now.
The Anunnaki gods describe the planets as alive with feelings and thoughts. How can I be so sure simple here in the British Museum.
So I don't want to spoil it for you. So there's a new video of literally the last video I just done said that there's going to be a brand new video totally changing history, and I'm actually still working on it. So in terms of creation of time, I am the guy that's worked it all out. So hold on. Being the foremost expert in paranormal and ancient aliens, etc., I do occasionally get people saying that I'm using other people's research. So unfortunately, this person doesn't even follow me, so that's their first problem. But the other problem is they've not watched any of my videos to understand that I don't go by Zecharia Sitchin. In fact, I've actually gone further than Zecharia Sitchin has, and he actually copied the Moorhens, and he admits that. So the ancient texts were already translated. So if you watched my amazing documentary, the one that proves the Anunnaki or the gods in the Bible, you will see that I don't actually use Zecharia Sitchin's work. In fact, I actually back Zecharia Sitchin up by finding the original text that he used for his book. So in other words, they're already translated. So when you say I present my work that's basically Sitchin's work, no, unfortunately I don't do that, and I am damn good at what I do. That's the reason why you thought that. Sorry.
The mysteries to unlock the secrets of the universe is hidden within our bodies.
So Billy just said that Enki had told us that the mysteries of the universe is within our bodies. In other words, he had done something to our bodies in order for us at a later date to figure out that the mysteries of the universe is there. Now, I've never seen any such tablets or text where Enki tells us or lets anyone know that we have inside us the mysteries of the universe. So I would just like to, instead of, I know Billy's good at sort of explaining things but without showing the evidence, but if it's at all possible, could you just on this one at least show me where that evidence is, please? Did you know in the Bible, Genesis mixes up 3 different timelines? In fact, the first part, they're talking about the creation of the solar system, which happened 4.6 billion years ago. Then, in the same Genesis, they actually start talking about the Anunnaki and their first 6 days, and the 7th day being a day of rest. And that was around 432,000 years ago. So a total difference there from the billions of years. And then they also add in the creation of man, which wasn't actually, they're talking about Adam from Adam and Eve, which happened 100,000 years ago when Enki bred with human women that they'd already created 200,000 years prior to that. Now you're going to say, well, how's all this evidence? Absolutely. I don't mess around. So all you have to do is either go to YouTube and look up this video here, Alien Bible, or scroll back just one video, the video previous to this on TikTok. Just go back and watch that. It's a 30-minute documentary, 35-minute documentary with evidence.
Or the Rishot structure. Yeah, this one's been beaten to death by all the Atlantis hunters, but it does.
There's so many people that say the Richat structure is where Atlantis is, and they quote Plato. The problem is, for everything that they quote Plato, I can quote 3 things from Plato that doesn't make it Atlantis. However, it's not even a sunken city. It's not even sunken. So if anyone is interested in where the actual real evidence of Atlantis is, watch my pinned video on Atlantis. I actually have a sunken city in concentric circles with Thoth's temple on it, and it sank at exactly the right time. And in fact, there's 14 other points showing exactly why the place that I say is Atlantis is Atlantis. It's a city. It's off the, it's an actual island as well. Whereas obviously the Richat structure was part of the mainland. So yeah, feel free, watch it. It's on my pinned videos, and finally learn the evidence.
They were approximately 1 million years ahead of us technologically.
Yeah, I don't see it. My research shows they're about 300 years more advanced than we are right now. So in fact, in 1 year of their time, we will actually leapfrog them in their technology. And that's based off of things like they didn't have anti-gravity, which in 1 million years' time, we will have anti-gravity regardless of whether we got it back engineered or not. So the Anunnaki never had anti-gravity technology to fly. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the stories in the Bible and the ancient texts where a big sound of thunder, like roaring waterfalls, as it was described, when one of their craft landed. So they didn't have anti-gravity technology, which you would get in 1 million years. From where we are now, you would get that. So yeah, I don't see it, unfortunately. I would go with my estimate 300 years ahead of where we are right now. I've just been asked why there's so many different races, and I've pointed to the person to my website because I've got many videos. In fact, I thought I'd just go through, because whatever question you have, I've probably already done a video for it. So I thought I'd just go through them. So here's the category of Anunnaki. I've got many different categories, so just bear with me. And it tells you how long the videos are, 35 minutes, 19 minutes, etc. That's a family tree backing up the actual proper family tree. So if you watch that, we'll look at that. Summary of the Anunnaki facts, 4 hours long. The list just goes on and on and on. What Sumerian stuff means. So I actually read out ancient texts and explain it all for you. Anunnaki seeing dead people, proof that Nibiru was real, Artrahasas tablets. I'll go through many. You can probably guess where the Y-files was wrong on that video. That's 50 minutes long. The Great Flood, all you need to know, is an hour long. It's on YouTube, you can watch it. So all you have to do is just click on whatever it is you're interested in. Norse mythology, obviously it's not mythology once you watch my amazing documentaries that prove, because they've got the evidence as usual, 19 minutes, 19 minutes, 18 minutes, and so on. So you just click on the one. Egypt, I'm just going to go through some of these here. Moses, was he a demigod? How the pyramids was cut, possibly. I can't say for sure. Emerald tablets, so I read out the emerald tablets for people. So it explains a lot about those if you don't actually know what that's referring to. Greece, who Kronos was, with evidence, and that's solved, obviously, by me. Lemuria, is it real? Have a watch of that, see what you think. Obviously, I've done a damn good job. All these are damn good jobs, you'll see. The Mayan cities, mermaids, there's a documentary here. Everything you need to know about mermaids is 24 minutes long, and you'll never see anything like it anywhere else, I can guarantee you. The Anunnaki were the ones that actually had merman. Go watch the documentary, you'll see what I mean. Time travel, etc., quantum, junk DNA, Star Child. So pretty much most of the things that you're probably already thinking of asking me, I've already done documentaries on. And these are not the TikTok type documentaries. A lot of these, or most of these long ones, are edited widescreen versions that you can sit back and enjoy. Giant trees or giant lies, solved that. Flat Earth, obviously. It's not. Watch my amazing documentaries, you'll see. Firmament. So I actually, with this one, I go back and actually look at the original word for firmament, which doesn't mean an invisible dome over the earth. It actually means, well, I'll let you watch that and you'll see with evidence, as always. Dinosaurs, dragons, fake debunking other people. So unfortunately, there's a lot of researchers out there that's not as good as me, without sounding really big-headed. And of course, I see their videos and I end up doing videos showing where they're wrong, and I show evidence where they don't. They kind of just talk. So I've done many videos there, 34 minutes, 18 minutes, and a 50-minute video. The Bible, obviously, who's Jesus, who was Lucifer, with evidence. I always do these with evidence, don't forget that. Satan, Book of Revelations, which obviously already happened. You're thinking, no, it hasn't. It has. Go watch that documentary. Who Jesus' real father was, unlike any other video ever. I was expecting people to tell me, "Way, you're wrong." No one's told me I'm wrong. It's on YouTube. No one's told me I'm wrong, because I do everything with evidence. So his real father was, and it wasn't an almighty being. It was not an almighty being. Go and watch the documentary, you'll see. Adam and Eve, a myth? No way. 13-minute documentary. So you could just spend a week, a couple of weeks watching my documentaries here. Garden of Eden. That's pretty much solved. You'll find it was on a spaceship. What? Yep, go watch the documentary. I don't mess around. I'm no point in lying. Who Yahweh really was, with evidence. No one's debunked that. No one will. Mark of the Beast has been solved, obviously, because I know what I'm talking about, unlike other people that will start from the basis of an almighty being, whereas I actually know about the Anunnaki, and you realise that it was to do with a comet. The name of the creator of everything, I'm the only person to work that out. The Great Flood, heaven and hell solved. So you'll basically find out that heaven was space, with evidence, as usual. Noah's Ark. Proof that aliens were involved. Obviously, it was the Anunnaki telling Noah. In fact, the tablets in the British Museum, or just one of the many tablets, was in the British Museum called Noah's Ark Flood Tablet, and it shows you that Enki tells Noah to build the ark. But I cover all of that in this hour-long Great Flood video. Bigfoot, loads of videos on Bigfoot here. 20 minutes, 9 minutes, and the Yowie connection. I forgot to put how long that is. I think it's a half-hour documentary. Elongated skulls, fascinating one. Ultimate elongated skull video. That's probably the only video you'll ever need to watch. 40 minutes long, covers pretty much. Well, that's why it's called the ultimate one. Crystal skulls, full documentary. Again, I prove that it's an hour long. I prove that the mainstream lie to us. They really do. So don't believe mainstream. Watch that documentary. You'll see how much they lie to us. Stonehenge, I solved it. I know you're going to say, how can you solve Stonehenge? Just watch the video. And you'll see that it was to do with mining. What? Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it? Sound power, levitation, about levitating blocks. Angels, obviously, we all know that an angel was a messenger. That's the original word for it. So I go through that and explain that with evidence, as always. Giants, were giants real? As a 38-minute documentary, and you'll find out the answer. As a DNA RH negative live chat with a special guest. It's a 2-hour chat. You'll find out some amazing stuff there. Spirits, everything you need to know about spirits is a 2-hour video there. The Hat Man, Jinn, making a contract with God, which technically isn't God. You'll see. Pineal gland. Did the Anunnaki have spirits? Near-death experiences, etc. The list just goes, as you can see, the list just goes on. Other types of pyramids, not necessarily ones in Egypt. Atlantis, obviously I'm the one that solved Atlantis. Just watch my pinned video here on TikTok and you'll see I did solve Atlantis with evidence, unlike anyone else that's ever done that. I know it sounds big-headed, just trust me, just go watch it, you'll see. Crop circles, obviously that's always a good one, and you'll find out that they were generally made by orbs, the original ones, not the man-made ones that are fake. Then I go into planets and other things, and skinwalkers, and including talking about Skinwalker Ranch, military and black ops, etc. So there's plenty of videos for you to just go and enjoy without having to ask me many questions. So hopefully that helps understand some of the videos that I've done. If you don't know who I am and you're thinking, what's this guy waffling on about, just watch some of my TikTok videos and hopefully you'll say, he kind of knows what he's talking about and he shows evidence. I'll go and look at his website, which is ourtruehistory.co.uk. Hope to see you there. Coming soon, I'll be telling you who the god is, the Anunnaki god that is in charge of us, and the $1 bill as well. There's representations on it. So after 40 years of my research into the Anunnaki, I'll be giving you my thoughts. They finally landed on Earth. Enki wanted to spend the next 6 days creating a camp for the team. On the 7th day, Enki said, let this day be a day of rest. From now on, every 7th day will be a day of rest. No working at all. This is actually from my book, which is on Amazon. It's called Our True History, and it's the world's first book that shows the Anunnaki with evidence. On the bottom of every single page, there's a link to whatever the evidence is regarding on that page. And so you don't have to buy it for a kid. You can actually buy it for yourself and look at the evidence on every single page. Museum evidence and stuff like that, as you probably see there. And so the book is pretty darn good, if I do say so for myself. It's called Our True History. It's on Amazon. Just type Our True History book and you will see. That's actually what the ark looked like, by the way. It was round. It was coracle. It wasn't a long boat. So yeah, enjoy. You may have heard that one of the stones now is supposedly from Scotland for Stonehenge, which means it's really almost impossible for people back then to have moved a stone from Scotland to Wiltshire, and then the other stones from Wales to Wiltshire. So if you're interested in finding out why Stonehenge was put there and who put it there, because it's in the middle of nowhere, there was no settlements, there was a few dead people, but no settlements. In order for someone to know when the equinox was, they would have had to have their own mini calendar, and we've got zero evidence of any mini calendars in any settlements. Again, none near here. So people would have had their own calendar, said, aha, it's going to be the solstice tomorrow. Let's all go and travel miles and miles and miles to go and see this. So they would have needed, but we've got no evidence. However, if you watch my amazing documentary called Stonehenge Solved, you'll get all the answers. And all you have to do is go to my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk, type in Stone. Heaven and Hell Solved.
If you are new to our True History videos, he has been doing this for over 40 years and is the foremost expert. Feel free to watch his videos. He has solved with evidence many of the mysteries you thought would never be solved. ourtruehistory.co.uk.
Good old heaven, up there. Even if you are in Australia, it's still up. Why do you think we look up to heaven? Simple answer is because the gods went up to heaven, as it says in ancient texts. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, we need to work out why people even mention the word heaven. It's because it's in the Bible. Yes, it's in older texts, but so is the great Lord Enki, but none of us pray to him. So we use the word from the Bible. Here is what heaven means in the Oxford Dictionary: a place regarded in various religions as the abode of God, or the gods, and the angels, and of the good after death, often traditionally depicted as being above the sky. Literary. The sky, especially perceived as a vault in which the sun, moon, stars, and planets are situated. Isn't that funny? The dictionary actually tells us what it is. It is space, but I'll get to the evidence soon. I know in space I can see the sun, moon, and stars, but I can't see heaven. The dictionary agrees it's space, vault, in which the sun, moon, stars, and planets are situated. So why do we believe it's a place for dead people? I'll get to that later on. Let's look at some passages from the Young's Literal Bible. That is the only Bible you need to read. Any others have been changed. See my other videos for evidence of that.
Revelation 21. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth did pass away, and the sea is not any more. 2. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of the heaven, made ready as a bride adorned for her husband. 3. And I heard a great voice out of the heaven, saying, Lo, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will tabernacle with them. And they shall be his peoples, and God himself shall be with them, their God. 4. And God shall wipe away every tear from their eyes, and the death shall not be any more, nor sorrow, nor crying, nor shall there be any more pain, because the first things did go away. 5. And he who is sitting upon the throne said, Lo, new I make all things. And he saith to me, Write, because these words are true and steadfast. 6. And he said to me, It hath been done. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. I to him who is thirsting will give of the fountain of the water of the life freely. Let's break this down. John could see a new heaven and a new earth. The first heaven and earth passes away, and so does the sea. If John was on a spaceship in heaven, space, then as the planet turned, the earth would have gone then sea, then back to earth. But the next bit is interesting. It says, I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of the heaven. I have no doubt John had just been with God, Anunnaki, in space, and is now coming down to earth. I'll read it again. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of the heaven. That's clearly two parts. It even has lines to break it up. He sees New Jerusalem. Then a short while later, the craft he is in descends down. That's why it then says, coming down from God out of the heaven. That was a start of a new passage. Again, while in the spaceship on the way down to Earth, a voice comes over the radio.
This was just part of the full long documentary. To watch the full version, visit ourtruehistory.co.uk. So this religious person said that I must have been Christian and bitter things happened to me in my life because I'm devoted to disproving not only God but Creator himself. However, I only go by evidence. And you know that because you've watched my videos. So we have evidence of the Anunnaki. We have evidence that they genetically modified a hominid species here on Earth. We have zero evidence of a creator of everything because the Bible mixed up the first 6 days of creation. I've already done a video on that, which you've decided not to watch because you want your own. So this person basically said on another post that because things are around us, trees and plants, therefore an intelligent being created it. So of course I've asked who created the intelligent being, and his answer was, well, it evolved. So I said, so why can't the plants and trees? Yeah, bash your head against the brick wall.
For the first time ever, the secrets of the dollar bill have been uncovered. While many videos demonstrate intriguing folds revealing the Twin Towers or highlight small details, no one has fully deciphered the hidden messages that reveal who is truly running our planet and which Anunnaki the dollar references. From the world's leading researcher comes a documentary that will leave you breathless. This is the same researcher who has provided evidence for the location of Atlantis, solved the mysteries of heaven and hell, unveiled the real father of Jesus, identified Yahweh, decoded the mark of the beast, and explained the firmament, among many other discoveries. This new documentary will finally answer the question of who is running our planet. Stay tuned for its release. In the meantime, you can explore over 1,000 videos at ourtruehistory.co.uk.
That hell was a real place, although not what you might think. Hell solved. As you may know by now, I like to look at everything. In this case, I'll first look at where hell was first mentioned, why, and by whom. Then I'll look into what other cultures around the world had the concept of hell. Then with evidence, I'll be able to show you where they all got the idea of hell from and what it really was. Remember, no other researcher has ever done this with the same answers and evidence as this video. Sorry, just a bit of self-praise for myself. Enough chat, let's start.
The concept of hell as a place of punishment for the wicked after death has ancient origins and varies significantly across different cultures and religions. Here's an overview of its first mentions in several major traditions. One of the earliest mentions of an underworld appears in ancient Mesopotamian mythology. The Sumerians spoke of a netherworld called Kur, or Ekala, where the dead would go regardless of their deeds in life. This underworld was ruled by the goddess Ereshkigal. Ancient Egypt, the Duat. In Egyptian mythology, the Duat is the realm of the dead. It is not explicitly a place of punishment, but it involves a journey where the dead face various challenges and judgments. The concept is detailed in texts such as the Book of the Dead, ancient Greece Hades. The Greek concept of the underworld, Hades, is mentioned in Homer's epics, 8th century BCE. It is ruled by the god Hades and is a place where souls of the dead reside. Tartarus, a deeper part of Hades, is where the wicked are punished. Ancient Judaism Sheol. In the Hebrew Bible, Old Testament, Sheol is mentioned as a place where the dead reside, often described as a shadowy and silent pit or abyss. It is not initially depicted as a place of punishment, but rather a neutral place where all the dead go. Over time, the concept evolved, and by the intertestamental period between the Old and New Testaments, ideas about different fates for the righteous and wicked began to emerge. Christianity. The New Testament, particularly the teachings of Jesus, introduces the concept of Gehenna as a place of fiery punishment for the wicked, e.g., Matthew 5:22, 10:28. This term is derived from the Valley of Hinnom near Jerusalem, which was associated with child sacrifice and later became a metaphor for hell. Islam Quran. In Islam, hell is referred to as Jahannam, a place of severe punishment and suffering for sinners and non-believers. The Quran contains numerous references to Jahannam, e.g. Surah 456, 1543, 44. Hinduism and Buddhism. Naraka. In Hinduism, Naraka is a place of torment for sinners. It is described in texts like the Puranas. In Buddhism, Naraka is also a realm of suffering, part of the cycle of samsara, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. Zoroastrianism, hell and judgment. Zoroastrianism, an ancient pre-Islamic religion of Persia, describes a form of hell. The wicked are said to be punished in a place of torment after death, as mentioned in the Avesta, the holy scriptures of Zoroastrianism.
I'm sure you are like me in that if something is first, then the chances are it is the correct one. For example, in the case of God, the reason why I bring God into this is because some people have said God will send you to hell if you are bad. So let's look in order of the first mentions of God. Remember, I believe the first of something is normally the correct version, and anything after is a copy of the original. Sumerians, c. 3500, 3000 BCE. Ancient Egypt, c. 3100 BCE. Indus Valley Civilization, c. 2500, 1900 BCE. Akkadian, c. 2334, 2154 BCE. Ancient China, Shang Dynasty, c. 646 BCE. Ancient Greece, Mycenaean Civilization, c. 1600, 1100 BCE. Hittites, c. 1600, 178 BCE. Hebrews, Ancient Israel, c. 1200, 1000 BCE. Vedic Civilization, Ancient India, c. 1500, 500 BCE. Ancient Persia, Zoroastrianism, c. 1600 BCE. Olmecs, Mesoamerica, c. 1400, 400 BCE. Ancient Rome, Early Kingdom period, c. 753, 509 BCE. Christianity, c. 1st century CE. Catholicism, c. 4th century CE. Distinct establishment as Roman Catholic Church. Islam, c. 610 CE. Latter-day Saint movement, Mormonism, c. 1820s CE. Several of the gods or religious figures from the list have teachings that emphasize exclusive worship or the rejection of other gods. Here are a few notable examples. Yahweh, Hebrews, Ancient Israel. The Hebrew Bible, Old Testament, contains numerous commands from Yahweh stating that the Israelites should worship no other gods. Notably, the first commandment in the Ten Commandments, Exodus 23, is, "You shall have no other gods before me." Ahura Mazda, Zoroastrianism. Zoroaster, Zarathustra, the prophet of Zoroastrianism, taught that Ahura Mazda is the supreme and only God worthy of worship. The religion emphasizes the rejection of devas, false gods or demons. God, Allah, Islam. In Islam, Allah is the singular and only God. The central tenet of Islam is Tawheed, the oneness of God, and the Quran repeatedly states that there are no gods but Allah. For example, Surah Al-Ikhlas, 112, 124, declares the oneness of God, and Surah Al-Baqarah 2, 163 says, "And your God is one God. There is no deity worthy of worship except Him, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful." God, Christianity. In Christianity, particularly as taught by Jesus and His apostles, there is a strong emphasis on the worship of the one true God. The New Testament reiterates the command to worship only God, as seen in passages like Matthew 4:10, where Jesus says, "You shall worship the Lord your God, and Him only shall you serve." Christianity, emerging from Jewish monotheism, continues the tradition of exclusive worship. Can you see the inconsistency there? Many later gods are claiming to be the first and only God. Let's take a moment to look at this. Use logic. Sumerians, Ancient Egypt, Indus Valley Civilization, Akkadians, Ancient China, Ancient Greece, Hittites, never had any god saying they are the only God and that all and others are fake? Why do you think that is? It goes back to the original being correct. The Anunnaki were the gods. Their race name is God. I have proven that with evidence. Feel free to watch my amazing documentary called The Lost Book of Our True History. It's on my website, Our True History. Do you think any God that created men would allow people to worship fake gods, even thought he was talking to us since the start of man, Homo sapien? Think about it. An almighty being creates us and tells us to worship him, and the first thing us humans do is build temple for the Anunnaki. That is a fact. Enki, Enlil, Nana, Ninurta, and many others all had the first temples. Do you think an almighty being would then let other cultures make up fake gods, then worship fake gods, then way later pop in and tell people you are worshiping the wrong God? If you do worship the wrong God, then go to hell. Christianity. The New Testament includes teachings that suggest those who do not believe in and follow Jesus Christ will face eternal punishment in hell. Islam. The Quran explicitly states that those who do not believe in Allah and follow the teachings of Islam will be punished in hell. The simple solution to God's problem of humans worshiping or not even believing in Him would be to show yourself, do one magic trick, perform a miracle, take your lapis lazuli throne, and parade around with it. But no, of course, he done none of these simple things, because God were the Anunnaki. And yes, Enlil, the Anunnaki god, also called the Most High, had a lapis lazuli throne just like God did.
So where does that leave us? With regards to hell? Well, we know that the Anunnaki gods called space heaven, and that no humans that die go there. What about hell? There is no point in looking into anything other than the Anunnaki gods' version of hell. Everything that came after is based off the Sumerian texts for hell, but not just Sumerian. I'll explain later about other cultures that are the Anunnaki talking about the same hell. Is hell real? Yes, there was a place that we would call hell, but it wasn't called that back then. In Mesopotamian stories, the underworld is called Kur or Irkala.
To watch the full 40-minute documentary, please visit ourtruehistory.co.uk.
I may have solved what the pine cone represents that the Anunnaki held, and now it's also in front of the Vatican. In fact, this was actually by the Pantheon originally, and originally before that it was over in Sumeria. So I have also solved many other things. You can get to them on my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk. But with this, I'll be doing a video very soon, and I'll let everyone know my findings. So you've got to remember, I research literally every single day. So I knew at some point or another I'll come across something that will finally click and make me understand what it represents. So yeah, I'll show you when it's done. And it's not what people normally associate to do with the pineal gland, not from my new research. Here's a clip from my documentary, Who's Running Planet Earth?
And Ninurta, because they were the royal ones here on Earth. Enki and Enlil were...
I don't want to spoil it. It's out on the 10th of August 2024. So just a couple of days. It's got a countdown. But if you can't wait, or you do want to watch it and it's already now out, all you have to do is go to my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk, type in whatever it is you want, whether it's Who's Running Planet Earth or Anunnaki videos, and you'll see a long list of documentaries covering all sorts of things, Norse, etc. So find the one that you're interested in, or all of them, and just watch them. Hopefully you'll enjoy some. So the video's out this weekend. I release new videos every single week, so this new one is in just 2 days' time. But there's thousands more you can go watch right now from my website. Which alien Anunnaki is running our planet? I'll explain in a moment. The video is now released. I'll show you how to get that. But just have a look at this for a second, guys. Big circle in the middle there. Have a look. And here's the Vatican. Big circle in the middle. Anyway, so if you're interested in finding out who's running the planet, unlike any other video, just go to my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk, type in $, or if it's underneath the Anunnaki section, because that's who's running our planet, scroll down and come to the one, there's thousands of videos here, who's running the planet. And there's one above actually called Anunnaki Gods versus the Bible, and so on. But so this one's a 10-minute video, and it will show you stuff that you've never seen before on the $. It's now out. You can get to it from my website.
We get our information about the flood in two different ways. The first is old texts. I'm not talking about the Bible. I'm talking about the texts the Bible copied from. There are many texts in many languages, such as Sumerian, Babylonian, Akkadian, etc. Museums around the world have these tablets and have translated the texts themselves, such as Penn Museum.
And this is one such tablet that had been broken into pieces. He actually did find more fragments of it, and in 1872 presented it at a scholarly meeting, and in 1874 published it as the 11th tablet of the Izdubar legend, and we still call it Gilgamesh 11. So he was really a pioneer, and you can imagine what a tremendous furor this caused, because you have an entire Victorian culture centered around the Bible and the Old Testament, and suddenly you have these weird and wonderful cuneiform tablets which look like nothing on earth, written by people who are mentioned in the Bible, the Assyrians, right? And telling us a tale, a narrative that, to all intents and purposes, also occurs in the Old Testament. So that really put Assyriology on the map.
First, let's look at why the flood happened from the ancient texts. There is an important tablet in the British Museum that gives a huge backstory to the Anunnaki, the alien race called gods that created Homo sapiens, but I'll show other translations in a minute.
This is just a late piece of Atrahasis, just to make the point that Atrahasis actually has a version from about 1600 or so, and versions that go all the way down through to about 650 or so in Ashurbanipal's library. And one of the interesting things is the flood story occurs in Atrahasis, and it occurs in Gilgamesh, and the same people have these two tales in their heads, but they don't see them as mutually exclusive. They're just different parts of the same tradition.
I'll come back to the Atrahasis tablet soon, but let's look at another tablet.
So this is not quite the start of the Sumerian flood story, though it is the start of this tablet. You can see this is the top edge here. And it starts off, the gods created humanity. Very nice. And the animals were multiplying below altogether. They made livestock and quadrupeds as fitting things in the steppe. In the high steppe, they somethinged joyous plants everywhere. There's a missing verb. At that time, the canal was not dug. This is very common in...
Here's a clear description of the Anunnaki creating Homo sapiens. The tablet has been called Enki and Nimna, and you can find this whole translation online. My mother, the creature you planned will really come into existence. Impose on him the work of carrying baskets. You should knead clay from the top of the Abzu. The birth goddesses will nip off the clay and you shall bring the form into existence. Let Ninma act as your assistant, and let Ninima, Kuziana, Ninmata, Ninbarag, Ninmug, and Ninguna stand by as you give birth. My mother, after you have decreed his fate, let Ninma impose on him the work of carrying baskets. It goes on to say Enki brought joy to their heart. He set a feast for his mother Nama and for Ninma. All the princely birth goddesses ate delicate reedba and bread. An Enlil and the Lord Nudimud roasted holy kids. All the senior gods praised him. O Lord of wide understanding, who is as wise as you? Enki, the great Lord, who can equal your actions. Like a corporeal father, you are the one who has the me of deciding destinies. In fact, you are the me. Enki and Ninma drank beer. Their hearts became elated. And then Ninma said to Enki, man's body can be either good or bad, and whether I make a fate good or bad depends on my will. Enki answered Ninma, I will counterbalance whatever fate, good or bad, you happen to decide. Ninma took clay from the top of the Abzu in her hand, and she fashioned from it first a man who could not bend his outstretched weak hands. Enki looked at the man who could not bend his outstretched weak hands and decreed his fate. He appointed him as a servant of the king. There is more, but we even have a more defined version. Let's listen to the tablets in the Columbia University translation by George Moorhan.
The account of the Enki leadership tablet. Enki reveals a secret to the leadership's lack of conviction. A species comparable to the Anunnaki roams free in the Abzu. Through the combination of its energy with that of the Anunnaki, it may be upgraded to an intelligent rudimentary worker. Enlil exclaimed, Creation belongs to the father of all beginnings. Ninma said, We will only offer our resemblance to a live being. Enki, Ninma, and Ningishzida, Enki's son, undertake experiments. After several failures, Adam achieves perfection. Ninma exclaims jubilantly, My hands have triumphed. As hybrids, humans are unable to reproduce. Ningishzida adds two important branches to their life tree. Ninki, the spouse of Enki, helps in the creation of Tiamat, a female earthling.
This tablet goes a lot more in detail. Let me know if you'd like me to do a whole video on the creation of Homo sapiens. After the Homo sapiens started to multiply, Enki took some of them to Mesopotamia to use as slaves. Enki also had his own palace there, as agreed by Penn Museum.
They create and assign the first cities to gods, and this is also in the Penn, the Sumerian flood tablet. And on the reverse, when we pick up again, among those cities, Eridu, which is the city of the god Enki Ea, the god of wisdom and magic, they established as the leader, probably. When you see words in italics in my translations, it means that we're not quite certain that that's what was there, either because we don't understand the word or because there's a break, maybe.
Aerial scans show Enki's temple complex underground, yes, buried by the flood. Now we can see why they needed to create Homo sapiens. It's in the Atrahasis tablet.
The very first words are, when the gods like man. That's how it was known in antiquity, by the first words. When the gods like man. Did the work, bore the loads. The gods' load was too great. They worked too hard, the trouble too much. The great Anunnaki, it's a collective term for the higher gods, made the Igigi, which is a collective term for the lower gods, carry the workload sevenfold.
I've shown in my documentary called The Lost Book of Our True History that the Igigi were the younger gods, the sons of the older gods. They volunteered to come to Earth. They thought they would be heroes saving their planet, but they didn't know they would have to work in mines.
But to cut a long story short, the gods don't like this. They don't like the sweat and the toil, and you can't blame them, really, right? And so they rebel, and there's a god called Allah.
This was just 7 minutes of the full 1 hour video. To watch the full 1 hour documentary, visit ourtruehistory.co.uk and search Flood. There's over 1,000 other documentaries there that you might also like. Our True History.
What are angels?
Angels are the first reflection of all that is.
You could listen to this guy who actually researches into ancient history, but doesn't need to because supposedly aliens give him all the information. So what's the point of researching? But an angel is a messenger of God. The original word was in Greek. Now, the Greeks got their words from the Sumerians, and when you read actual ancient translations, the Lord gave heed to the words of holy Inanna and chose from the troops as a messenger one who was eloquent of speech. In other words, they chose a messenger which predates the Bible. Now, Inanna, who they're talking about in another text, Inanna announced, when I, the goddess, was walking around in heaven. That's because they have obviously spaceships, and space is heaven. So you can either listen to Bashar or you can actually go with my evidence.
Nibiru actually had its own symbol, which was carved many times in ancient times. Their planet symbol was this. Study this for a moment. Please take your time. Now look at this. Notice anything? This was just a clip of the long documentary which shows who's running the planet. To watch the full documentary, visit ourtruehistory.co.uk. There's over 1,000 other documentaries there that have solved mysteries you thought you'd never see solved. Our True History.
There was rivers in the past on Mars. In Sitchin's book, he tells of a great storm on Mars that forced the Igigi to stay here on Earth. They never went back. Which also makes sense why there are structures photographed on Mars. Because the Igigi were there once. Here is a Sumerian tablet that proves that the Igigi were the younger ones, the sons of God. This translation, including the wording in brackets, are done by the University of Oxford, which agrees with Zechariah Sitchin. A hymn to Marduk for Abi Isu A, C 2.8.5.1 king who gathers up the divine powers of heaven and earth. Foremost son of Enki, Marduk, mighty lord, perfect hero, foremost of the great princes, a name for the Igigi gods, strong one of the Anuna, the great gods who have given him justice and judgment. great prince, descendant of Holy Anne, Lord who decides destinies, who has everything in his grasp, wise, august knower of hearts, whose divinity is manifest, who shows concern for all that he looks upon. Your ancestor An, king of the gods, has made your lordship effective against the armies of heaven and earth. However, in the Enuma Elish, the translator L.W. King around 1910 said they were the older gods. This is incorrect, as I've already read out. The leader of the senior gods was Enki from a translation. I feel L.W. King may not have read all the tablets at that point. They may not have been all found to make a clearer picture. This next passage is from the AI Chapt GPT. In Mesopotamian mythology, the Igigi are generally considered to be younger gods or deities. They are often depicted as a group of lesser gods who were created by the higher gods, such as the Anunnaki. The term Igigi itself is believed to derive from the Sumerian word Igi, meaning youth or youthful ones. This next part shows why one of the reasons Sitchin believed the Igigi were on the away station on Mars. Sitchin called Mars Lamu, but others translate it as Lakmu. Here is a passage from Project Gutenberg's The Babylonian Legends of the Creation by British Museum. Yes, the British Museum has wrote this. The primitive gods Lakmu and Lakamu and the Igigi cuneiform, who may be regarded as star gods. Also in the same translations by the British Museum, there is this which I believe is the part where the king tells the Igigi they will be stationed somewhere. Yea, over the gods of heaven and earth, all of them, 120. His kingship we will exalt. 121. We will look unto the King of all the heaven and the earth at night, when the place of all the gods is darkness, literally sadness. 122. He hath assigned our dwelling in heaven and in earth in the time of trouble. 123. He hath allotted stations to the Igigi and the Anunnaki. 124. The gods themselves are magnified by his name. May he direct their sanctuaries. 125. I'll now read out what Sitchin said in his book 111. Your success shall for eternity be recorded. By glorious names you shall be called. Those who on earth are shall as Anunnaki be known. Those who from heaven to earth came. Those who on Lamu are, Igigi shall be named. Those who observe and see they shall be. Now back to the British Museum's own words, 123. He hath allotted stations to the Igigi and the Anunnaki. You can see that the Igigi were given a place to work. I'll talk about the Igigi a bit later on. Keep hold of that name for the young sons of gods, for that's what they were. They were the teenagers or young adults, the sons of God.
So now we've proved that the Igigi were the sons of God. Let's have a look at what Genesis. Now remember what I said about Genesis being the closest version to the ancient text. Now we've just read out the ancient text. Now let's have a listen to what Genesis says about the Igigi, the same people. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth. So that's us humans after they'd created us. And the daughters were born unto them. So in other words, human males had females for daughters, which makes sense because we have sons and daughters. But this is where the Bible carries on. The sons of God saw the daughters of men. So the Igigi saw the daughters of men. Makes sense to me. And they were fair. In other words, fair game really. And they liked them. So it says, and they took them wives of all which they choose. So clearly the Igigi came down, which I'll cover in a second, from Mars and took human women. But it carries on. This is the Bible literally agreeing with the Anunnaki. And the Lord said, you know who the Lord is, my spirit shall not always strive with man. In other words, doesn't agree with us. For that he also is flesh. Also is flesh. Think about that for a second. Any religious person has to understand that he's agreeing that their flesh, there's no way around it. You can't say, oh, well, God's not really flesh. He wants to be flesh whenever he wants to. That's baloney. I'll read that bit again. And the Lord said, and we know the Lord is, well, there's actually lots of lords. I haven't even covered that part yet. But basically, the great Lord Enki is the great one. For that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. And that's because us humans lived actually up to 120 years when the Anunnaki first created us, compared to the Anunnakis, thousands and thousands of years. And it carries on. There were giants in the earth in those days. And also after that, when the sons of God come unto the daughters of men, and they bear children with them. So that basically means the Ajiji, who were physical, flesh, just like it said there, took our human women and had kids with them. Then it carries on. The same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. So this was where the giants come in. So some of the Anunnaki offspring with humans had gigantism, which made sense because the Anunnakis were 8 to 12 foot tall in the first place, and us humans wasn't. We was 5 foot something, approximately. So clearly the Bible, anyone that tells you that the Bible's talking about an almighty being that's not flesh, just point out Genesis 6. My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. And a marvellous sentence there. That sums it up, but obviously people won't want to hear that, but it says it.
To see the full 3-hour video that covers the Anunnaki and Agigi and proves the Anunnaki gods were the gods in the Bible, visit ourtruehistory.co.uk. You'll find over 1,000 videos, all with evidence on many subjects, from crop circles to crystal skulls and Bigfoot, etc.
This might surprise you. This may be Inanna, also known as Ishtar from the ancient Sumerian and Babylonian stories. And here is a carving of a woman that looks very, very similar to her indeed. And she is attacking a bull. Now Marduk, who was the son of Enki, was represented as a bull. And this woman here is obviously attacking it. Now, Marduk was in charge of the Middle East around the same time as Jesus was born. In fact, if you watch my amazing documentary on who Jesus' father is, you'll see it would have been Marduk. But Inanna was the sworn enemy of this bull. And in fact, you'll never guess where this carving is. It's in the Vatican. And if you look, they've even got a centaur. So my advice is hold on. I'll be doing a deep dive video into this. And look, there's a lovely eagle there, dollar bill. So yes, enjoy. Keep following me. Another world's first. Demons have been solved. Yes, with evidence, as always. I now show what demons actually mean from the very first people that ever mentioned the word demon. So we now know exactly what they were referring to. So all the people that say that they've seen demons, etc., obviously are making that up, because when you watch this video, you realise that I'm not going to spoil it. So you'll find out exactly what it is. If you're interested, you can go visit my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk. Enlil, the Anunnaki god that came to Earth. Now, I'm doing a video deep dive on which Greek and Roman god would he be. Now, I've already done one on Kronos, which I actually rewrote the Greek history with evidence. So mine shows that it's not actually what we're told. Bearing in mind the earliest records that we do have for Greeks is about 400 years after any events, and it was all verbally passed down. So what we get is basically a mix-up of things where I'm now unravelling it with evidence. So it comes out on 6 days' time, which is the 15th of September 2024. Follow me and I'll let you know when it's out. This might make you laugh. The Pope, which is the highest priest for the Vatican, isn't the very first time that the priest was created. In fact, if you look at these ancient Sumerian texts that predate the Bible, the Anunnaki, Enki, Enlil, etc., had priests. So, in other words, this one, the Almighty God, decided to copy the Anunnaki's priests, which is weird because obviously the Anunnaki were actually called, if you type in gods, you'll find that their race name, the Anunnaki's race name, was gods. There you go. And these are from the ancient tablets that predate the Bible. So it's a bit of a giggle, isn't it? The fact that God, Almighty God, needed to nick the same idea as the previous gods in some... Yeah, you know what I'm saying. World's first children's book that's on Amazon that shows the Anunnaki with evidence created us. Grown-ups will tell you about how they believe the universe started. Some will talk about a single God creating the universe. However, it's really rare to hear that aliens were the gods. But some ideas are more than just ideas. We actually have evidence. The truth is, there were aliens here a long time ago, but for many different reasons, people don't want us to know. However, this book will show with evidence what really happened. How do we know there were aliens here? Throughout history, over 2 million tablets have been found in modern-day Iran, Iraq. Sorry, I'm trying to read over the phone. This area in the Middle East was once called Mesopotamia. These tablets are written in the oldest recorded language on Earth, Sumerian. It's described as and describes the life and times of a race of aliens called gods. The last page of this book has helpful reminders. So basically, each bottom of each page has evidence where it will give you a link or descriptions to something that it's referring to at the time. So as you can probably guess, this book is unlike any other you will ever come across. So if you, I mean, it's not just for children, obviously. If you want evidence, it gives you the links to the evidence, etc. It even gives you time frames so you understand what happened when. And as I say, it gives links on the bottom of every page. So if you're interested in finally getting your child the book, so all those other ones, you know the ones I'm referring to, what tell us stuff because they want us to believe in stuff. If you're like me, who actually just goes by evidence, then this amazing book, which I had done myself, so you can be sure that I won't mess around, is on Amazon. And so you can just go there now. It's called Our True History.
You can see the same design with the Avenue of the Dead and Map of Vatican City and Map of the Central Zone of Corral, Supi Valley, Peru. The Anunnaki were tall, 8 to 12 foot, if not taller. The doors in the Vatican are over 21 foot tall. The Vatican has the pinecone statue that was originally outside the Roman Pantheon, which is the same pinecone shape that the Anunnaki are seen holding in carvings. The Vatican Museum has an entire section dedicated to animal sculptures. However, when was the last time you have seen a centaur? The first carving of a centaur wasn't Greek, it was Sumerian, with the Anunnaki. The Vatican seal is the same as the Anunnaki gods' home planet symbol. You'll see it wherever the gods were, including Egypt and on the dollar bill.
To watch the full 30-minute documentary, visit ourtruehistory.co.uk. There's over 1,000 documentaries there made by me. Our True History. Now we know the Bible did copy the older stories. We can now look at what the Bible was trying to say but got things mixed up.
Let me break this passage down. Genesis 1:6-8, Young's literal translation. And God saith, Let an expanse be in the midst of the waters, and let it be separating between waters and waters. That is actually referring to the start of the solar system. Here in the Enuma Elish tablets in the British Museum is what it says about the start of our solar system. When in the height heaven was not named, and the earth beneath did not yet bear a name, and the primeval Apsu, who begat them, and Chaos, Tiamut, the mother of them both. Their waters were mingled together, and no field was formed, no marsh was to be seen, when of the gods none had been called into being, and none bore a name, and no destinies were ordained. What that means is, and the primeval Apsu, who begat them, and Chaos, Tiamut, the mother of them both. Apsu and Tiamat are primordial deities. They symbolize the mingling of waters and the chaotic state before creation. Now when the giant water planet Tiamat got smashed up also in the Enuma Elish, one half of her he established as a covering for heaven. He fixed a bolt, he stationed a watchman, and bade them not to let her waters come forth. I'll reread that to let it sink in. One half of her he established as a covering for heaven. We know heaven means space, so we have one half of the water planet called Tiamat saying out in space covering space. The water from the planet also was there in space. Let's go back to the rest of what the Bible says. And God maketh the expanse, and it separateth between the waters which are under the expanse, and the waters which are above the expanse, and it is so. And God calleth to the expanse heavens, and there is an evening, and there is a morning, day second. Matches perfectly, but there is more. I'll get to it in a moment. I just need to address this part. And there is an evening, and there is a morning, day second. That part doesn't belong with the creation story. That part belongs 4.5 billion years later, when the Anunnaki were here on Earth. I'll cover that in a moment. So let's get back to the covering we now have in the universe from a broken planet. Allow me to read out the translations of the tablets in Columbia University, which are owned by the Rothschilds and translated by George and Ryan Moorhen.
Apsu ruled the void all by himself. Then his winds mixed the waters of the beginning, and Apsu cast a divine and clever spell over the waters. He slept soundly in the deep of the void. Tiamat, the mother of everything, became his wife. She, indeed, was a mother from heaven and a watery beauty.
That was the creation part of the texts. Now this is the part where the planet Nibiru came into our solar system and broke Tiamat up, creating Earth, its moon, and the asteroid belt called the Hammer Bracelet.
Lord Nibiru returned to Tiamat, whom he had tamed. He found her, glanced at her dead body, and then walked away. A deception was devised to divide the monster in his heart. Then, like a muscle, he split her chest and lower torso into two halves. When the Lord trod on her backside, he severed her top half. He cut open her inner channels and marveled at her golden veins. He summoned the north wind, his ally, from his side. He instructed them to place the severed head of the wind in the empty area. The Nibiru wind then passed over Tiamat, sweeping over her raging waves. Nibiru fired a lightning bolt at North Wind. He transmitted a message, and Tiamat's head was taken away in a blaze of light to an unknown location. Kingu was also sent away with her, and the portion that had been severed was to be his friend. Nibiru then considered what would happen to the back part. He wanted it to be a combat trophy that would survive eternally. The battleground to be enshrined serves as a permanent reminder. He used his mace to sever the horse's back. They then strung them all together to form a hammered bracelet. He secured them as watchmen by locking them together, a firmament to keep the waters separate from the waters. Nibiru has created beautiful works of art by separating the upper waters above the firmament from the lower waters.
From NASA, astronomers have confirmed gas, specifically water vapor, around a comet in the main asteroid belt for the first time, indicating that water ice from the primordial solar system can be preserved in that region, proving there is water just as the tablets said there was. The Hammer Bracelet, which is the asteroid belt, is the separation of one heaven above the asteroid belt, and below which surrounds Earth is the firmament. Let's look again, and the Bible. Let it be separating between waters and waters. And God maketh the expanse, and it separateth between the waters which are under the expanse, and the waters which are above the expanse. There you have it. No invisible dome, no solid object.
To watch the full long documentary of this, visit ourtruehistory.co.uk. You'll find over 1,000 other documentaries that have solved mysteries you never thought possible.
Does anyone else think that this picture, which shows some flappy things there, and some angels, and an eagle facing to the right, is the same as this, with the flappy bits there. Now, originally, the actual eagle was actually facing to the right. And they normally have the things coming out. You'll see this in the Sumerian planet symbol for Nibiru as well. So does anyone think that this is similar to that? This is in the Vatican, by the way. In God we trust. Let me know your thoughts. I've been asked a few times why this book isn't in normal shops and it's only on Amazon. That's because the way Amazon works, I make 50p on each book. If I was to do it what they call extended distribution, I make nothing. So as much as I want to give it away, I did spend a lot of time on this with all the evidence down the bottom, etc., on every single page. So unfortunately you can only get it from Amazon, so my apologies for that. My new documentary's out. It's called Anunnaki Pinecone, What Is It? It's now available. You can find this video, documentary, it's about 20 minutes long, from my website. Once you type in whatever it is that you're after, just scroll down, and obviously on this case you'll be looking for Pinecone. So Anunnaki Pinecone, what is it? Just click this link and you will be taken to this documentary. Enjoy. This person on another post of mine said that the Anunnaki created a worship gene in us humans, or Homo sapiens, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life, except Billy Carson had said it, and of course people listen to Billy Carson, and you know, even Billy's admitted now that the Ark was a boat, because he's probably watched my videos, whereas before I've got some videos of Billy saying that the Ark could have been a boat or it could have been a spaceship, and yet we've had the tablets in the British Museum explaining what the boat was made out of, which is wood, so it's not a spaceship. So anyway, so this person's obviously probably listened to someone like Billy Carson where he says that there's a worship gene. So just to give this person a bit of context, while I do believe the Anunnaki genetically created us because we've got fused chromosomes, and I've read out the tablets many times where they talk about creating us, what you probably don't realise is the translations by the Moorhens actually explain that they struggled 6 times. In fact, you've also got the Enki and Nimna tablets that show that they failed 6 times to create a human. Do you honestly think that they're going to go, oh, we failed 6 times, maybe we should take out that worship gene, that could be the problem? Stupid. But also, if you read the translations by the Moorhens from the tablets in Columbia University, you'll find that the tablets say that the first Homo sapiens couldn't actually speak properly at all. In fact, they just grunted. So you're going to ask a race that can literally just about carry baskets for us of gold, or you know, ore, which is what the whole reason that they were created for. You're going to then stick a worship gene in there so that we would worship whoever it was that created us? No. Also, how stupid. Also, the Anunnaki were in a rush to get their planet saved. So the last thing they would want to do is create a species and then say, oh, let's stick a worship gene in. Because at 2 and 12 o'clock, we're going to have them all stop and go on their hands and knees and pray to us, because we're desperate for the gold to be made, which is why we created these creatures in the first place. But hey, let's let them stop and worship us. And then all they'll be doing is going, ugh, ugh, ugh. It's crazy. And of course, the most important part of all of that is the fact that we have zero evidence of a worship gene. You know, dogs kind of worship humans. Does that mean someone's gone along and stuck a gene in there? And of course, I don't worship anyone, so that doesn't quite work either. Oh, bless you, my child. Follow me. It's a lot easier than making up crap. Wow, guys, look at this book. If you're interested in the same subjects that I am, just take a look here. These are the chapters. Ancient Earth, finding out about how it was formed, etc. This is also based off of science as well as ancient tablets. Amazing book. Ancient Moon and Mars, Anunnaki, Egypt, Dinosaurs and Man. In other words, did they actually coexist? Not 65 million years ago, but more recently, up to about 1,000 years ago. Shows you there. Bloodlines, little green men. It wasn't obviously the green was, and it tells you why people call it green when they're actually grey. Very clever. Souls and Spirits, Black Ops Secret Program, Crop Circles, Other Aliens, different types of aliens, Men in Black, Time Travel, Remote Viewing. You can get this book basically on Amazon. Absolutely fantastic. And there is a sequel. This book's called Black Ops, Aliens, Spirits, Bigfoot, and Our Untold History. What do you buy someone that has absolutely everything? You buy them this book, which is a sequel to this book. You don't have to buy them in order. And they're both on Amazon. And there's a third coming out soon as well. So this chapter's got mermaids, which shows the Anunnaki were the first people to talk about mermaids, believe it or not. In fact, they were actually Anunnaki, not mer people, not humans. Giants, the Bible, it goes through, shows you that the Anunnaki were the gods in the Bible. Ancient structures such as Bimini Roads, etc. Pixies, yeah, the amount of cultures around the world that talk about little people, unbelievable, fascinating. Bermuda Triangle, levitation, skinwalkers, telekinesis and telepathy, Atlantis, vampires, zombies and werewolves, dowsing and ley lines, synchronicity and coincidence, hypnosis and the future. Absolutely amazing book. It's called Atlantis, Mermaids, Pixies, Giants and Our Untold History. I can't recommend it enough. The Vatican, home of the Anunnaki, did Marduk or one of the other Roman gods ask for the Vatican to be built? Well, I have done a deep dive and I kind of answer it, I think, with evidence. So here are the comments. It only was out yesterday. As always, another banger, keep them coming, fascinating. Someone saying they're going to the Sistine Chapel, brilliant video, loved it, etc. So you can actually watch it. It's free of charge. It's on my Patreon page, but it is free of charge. So all you have to do is just sign up for Patreon. It costs nothing. And click on the collections tab and then go to the ones that says free. There's over 160 odd documentaries on all sorts of subjects, and go to the one that says free. There's 47 videos there free of charge. Some of them are over an hour long, and there's the Vatican one there, so you can just watch that without having to pay. There's other videos. I did a video a short while back where I said that allegedly at least one of the stones in Stonehenge is now actually from Scotland, not Wales. And someone said to me, how can you say allegedly when it's now been proven that it's from Scotland? And I said, well, it was actually proven that it was from Wales until they then proved that it was from Scotland. However, they're now saying that it's actually not from Scotland. So once again, because I was smart enough to put the word allegedly because I didn't trust their information, whereas the person that told me I was wrong trusted it, I didn't trust it, and it turns out I'm right. So, once again, the stones are up for debate on where they're actually from. This is not a religious book. This is a book that shows evidence that the Anunnaki created us, etc. Even though YouTube have blocked me advertising it, saying it's in religious beliefs. But there's no religion in here whatsoever. Nothing to do with religion. It's just to do with the tablets. The ancient tablets that tell us about the Ark. The tablets are in the British Museum. That was what the shape of the Ark looked like. So if you're interested in a kid's book that actually tells you the evidence and is not religious in any shape or form, even though they will block me, all you have to do is go to Amazon. It's on Amazon and you can buy it. It's called Our True History, and it's the world's first book that actually has evidence, and it's not religious in any shape or form.
That Sasquatch, Bigfoot are a genetic creation to do work on Earth.
Linda's saying that she's been told that Sasquatch was a genetic creation to do work here on Earth by other aliens. I don't see that at all. The logic that an alien race needs to seed another race here on Earth to give the first alien race information about the planet. And don't forget, Native Americans used to see Bigfoot, so Bigfoot's been around a very, very long time. So if the first aliens could not just figure it out themselves, whatever it is they need to learn, bear in mind the Bigfoots don't have any tech with them to be able to do whatever research that the first aliens want. I don't see it at all. And of course the Bigfoots have to hide behind trees and all that kind of stuff. Give them some tech to hide. So yeah, I don't see it at all. The Vatican, home of the Anunnaki, did Marduk or one of the other Roman gods asked for the Vatican to be built. Well, I have done a deep dive and I kind of answer it, I think, with evidence. So here are the comments. It only was out yesterday. As always, another banger. Keep them coming. Fascinating. Someone's saying they're going to the Sistine Chapel. Brilliant video. Loved it, etc. So you can actually watch it. It's free of charge. It's on my Patreon page, but it is free of charge. So all you have to do is just sign up for Patreon. It costs nothing. And click on the collections tab. And then go to the ones that says free. There's over 160 odd documentaries on all sorts of subjects. And go to the one that says free. There's 47 videos there free of charge. Some of them are over an hour long. And there's the Vatican one there, so you can just watch that without having to pay. There's other videos. Absolute breaking news. Watch to the end. It's astonishing. So apparently there are plasma bubbles that's been found now above pyramids in Giza. And they reckon that causes problems with satellites, etc. But it also suggests that the pyramids were built deliberately there, which is interesting because, yes, Our True History, which is me, had already done a video showing that the Skinwalker Ranch, which is the TV show, actually found that there is some sort of plasma type cone-shaped thing on the ranch. And I said, what if the pyramids were built within one of these cone-shaped things and therefore utilising the energy of it? And now obviously mainstream's finally catching up with my ideas. So if you want to be ahead of the game, go to ourtruehistory.co.uk, my website, and you'll find out. Wow, look at this. It's AI. And now I'm saying that because there is so many people sending me videos now with like UFOs coming out of New York, etc. And I'm just showing you this is all AI. So don't fall for it. The amount of people that seem to fall for it, unfortunately, and they're sort of sharing the videos and saying, wow, look at this alien, or look at this UFO, or whatever it is. I'm just showing you other ones here that people have done. These are all AI. So don't share them, don't bother sharing, because the chances are they're probably fake. If you've only seen it the once, and it's probably fake. I mean, this is all, 10 seconds, someone to type in, monster walking, and that's what they get. It's absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, so I'm just saying, I don't lie. I won't ever show you videos where it's AI and pretend that it's real. I won't do that to you guys. So just make sure you follow me. There's many researchers out there that say the Anunnaki actually made the Ajiji. In fact, a lot of those researchers are completely wrong, and they get that from the Atrahasis. But if you actually read it, it says the great Anunnaki made the Ajiji carry the workload sevenfold. So unfortunately, those researchers where they just read that bit and says that the Ajiji were made by the Anunnaki, unfortunately they're wrong. If you want the evidence that the Ajiji were actually the children of the Anunnaki, in other words, the young sons of God, yes, you know them in the Bible as the sons of God that took unto them the daughters of man, all you have to do is go to my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk, scroll down to where it says click here on the homepage. I've made it nice and simple. Obviously, there's thousands of other documentaries, etc. Just go up here and search for whatever you're after, time travel, crystal skulls, whatever it is. There's a bonus video after the video number 1500. Keep watching. You'll love it.
Long before the stories in the Bible, a different tale of creation was etched in the oldest known tablets of humanity. This is our true history. Meet the Anunnaki, the gods who came to Earth from a distant world. Unlike any other children's book, our true history reveals the hidden truths. Each page is not just a story, but a gateway to evidence. Discover the links and dive into the ancient tablets that predate the Bible, now available on Amazon. It's time to discover the story that was always meant to be told.
Recently, Chinese scientists have said that there's plasma bubbles above the pyramids in Giza. A plasma bubble is a type of disturbance in the Earth's ionosphere, which is a layer of atmosphere filled with charged particles or plasma. Hang on, there's more. Now, you know these orbs that people have seen and photographed, etc. Most people assume that these are actually plasma. funny enough, it's well documented experimentally that plasma are self-organizing, engaging complex behaviors similar to simple multicellular organisms, in other words, possibly alive. There's also other research that shows that plasma can actually store memory. So in other words, are these actually alive, and has that got anything to do with entities above the Great Pyramids? I'll let you guys work it out. Thank you, everybody. I've now reached 1,500 videos. Technically, there's way more than that already because I don't actually number every single video. But I want to say thank you to everyone that's called me the foremost expert in the paranormal, ancient aliens, etc. I appreciate you saying that, and I do appreciate all your kind comments. I hope I haven't upset anyone. I probably have over the course of all these videos, but just don't make up stuff. If you've got evidence, show it. If you haven't, please don't make up stuff. It's not worth it, because people like myself will want the evidence. And anyway, so yeah, so we've got plenty more videos to come, as you can probably guess. I haven't stopped researching, and if you go to my website outtruehistory.co.uk, you can see many more videos that's not even on TikTok. So once again, thank you guys. You're the ones that keep me going. Appreciate all your support.
Anunnaki text, how the Anunnaki brought barley to Earth. Now, I mean, that's pretty impressive. Now, this is a translation that's done by the Oxford University. Many different people had gone through it. There's loads down the bottom here, if you can see. There's loads more below that. And what I do is I read out these using my knowledge and help people understand who and what things are as I read it out. So where I say ... that normally means there's bits missing. In other words, they can't transcribe the texts. And these are the oldest texts known to man. Okay, men used to eat grass with their mouths like sheep. Now, men were the ones that the Anunnaki created. So we can see straight away that Neanderthal that preceded humans, or Homo sapiens, because obviously the Anunnaki genetically bred Neanderthal with their own DNA to create modern, well, humans. So if humans were eating grass with their mouths, then so would have the Neanderthals. In those times, they did not know grain, barley, or flax. An, which would be Anu, brought these down from the interior of heaven. Now, interestingly, heaven clearly means space, because there's many times they're talking about the stars in heaven. But I think it's a double meaning, because when I read it sometimes, it basically means Nibiru. So in this case, it would be Nibiru. Now, if you know how the Sumerian texts work, one word could actually mean 6 different things. So that's why I believe there is a possibility that heaven is, depending on their reference, it's just the same as us with the word live and live. 2 different things, and we have the same things here. But so heaven in this instant would be Nibiru. I'll read that again. An, King Anu, brought these down from the interior of heaven. Enlil, which is Anu's son, lifted his gaze around as a stag lifts its horns when climbing the terraced ... hills. He looked southwards and saw the wide sea. He looked northwards and saw the mountain of aromatic cedars. Enlil piled up the barley, gave it to the mountain. He piled up the bounty of the land, gave the Inuha barley to the mountain. He closed off access to the wide open hill. In other words, he's locked it somehow. He ... its lock. I'm guessing secured. He secured its lock, which heaven and earth shut fast. And they put a question mark. They weren't sure if that was a correct translation. Its bolt, which ... So again, probably a bolt to lock it. And another tablet. The Nanzu, who actually is another name for Ninurta, who is Enlil's son. The Nanzu said to his brother Nimnada, "Let us go to the mountain to the mountain where the barley and flux grows, ... the rolling river, where the water wells up from the earth. Let us introduce the Inhala barley into Sumer. And that's where they were at that point. So if you remember your history, Sumer is the first place that they got taught out of the 4 different territories, and that's why we have the ancient Sumerian text as the oldest, because that's where humans were started to be taught. Let us make barley known in Sumer, which knows no barley. Nimada, the worshipper of An, replied to him, since our father has not given command, in other words Enlil, since Enlil has not given command, how can we go to the mountain? Everything was very strict back then, as you can imagine. How can we bring the barley from its mountain? How can we introduce the Inhal grain into Sumer? How can we make barley known in Sumer, which knows no barley? Now they do repeat a lot of things, which is really bad in terms of them having to scribe this into clay. So to repeat things over and over, it seems illogical for me, but they obviously felt it was important to do that. Then another tablet wrote, come, let us go to Utu of heaven. Now Utu was in charge of, so he was the twin brother of Inanna, and he was in charge of the space port, in other words, backwards and forwards up into space. So that makes sense. There's a second heaven there, but space, this one, not Nibiru. Who, as he lies there, sleeps a sound sleep. To the hero, the son of Nigel, who, as he lies there, sleeps a sound sleep. I told you they repeat things. He raised his hands towards Utu of the 70 doors, ? And then the very last tablet was Utu ... table ... So that's this particular very short one, but it's really important because along with goats, etc., the Anunnaki brought down from their home planet many things. So we ended up getting wine and bread basically taught to us by the Sumerians, and literally here it is written in stone tablets. So next time someone says to you there's no such thing as Anunnaki, literally they're telling us that man, right at the top there, man used to eat grass with his mouth. If this was written by man, you wouldn't say man used to eat because you're one of them. You would only say man if you're not one of them. In other words, something different, in this case an Anunnaki. And clearly you can see all the names and everything that's written in the stone tablets that predate the Bible, so just keep that in mind. So hopefully you enjoyed this.
You can find thousands of videos on my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk.